Good evening, chat. Sorry to everybody in locals. Like I said last night, the ninjas attacked with some knockout powder, and there were like 15 of them, so I couldn't stop them all. We did our best. But we are here. It is Tuesday night, and with a little bit of a programming note, we had to switch things up. We will talk about the detransitioning lawsuit tomorrow night. We're going to go through the court docs on it, and buddy, $2 million verdict for malpractice. It's like some good stuff. We are going to get to that. But tonight, the main event. And $0. Hello. Hi. Got the chairman out there. Yes. We have coming back as a reoccurring guest. I would say he's probably the second fiddle in the Law and Order show that's on Rob North's channel. We have joining us RyanCMullally. How you doing, Ryan?
Good to be here. My keyboard precedes me. And if the chat keeps misbehaving, I'm just going to machine gun them with keyboard sound. So, you're on notice, chat. You're on notice.
Well, there you go, chat. You got to be careful. He's not joking. He'll do it. He'll fucking do it.
Not playing with you guys this time. No, I'm really glad to be back, Sean. Always a pleasure. And, last time we were on here, you and I were disappointedly reading a dissent by Judge Alito for a long time. So that was kind of a bit of a downer stream, but I think this time we're looking at some absolutely based news. This is going to be kind of a different vibe, let's say.
Oh, this is going to be much different of a vibe. This is not a cope stream tonight. We are not going to cope, and we are not going to steed. And no, Edward, he is not one. Do you like trains? Okay, so you're not one of my train friends. There you
go. Wait, are you in a train club?
No. Like,
does your chat believe you're in a train club?
Yes. Well, they signed me up for a bunch of train clubs. And and we were talking about something. We were talking about different kinds of autism, and I said, at least I'm not a foamer. And everybody in chat's like, what's a foamer? And a foamer is an autistic person who is like all about trains. And I showed them the video, and they're like, the only reason I even know about the video is because you are a foamer. So now I'm a foamer, and they've got me all kinds of train stuff over, in the past like 2-3 years now. Like I have all kinds of train stuff now.
I think
like we'll play games, we'll do train sim some nights. So
I think they're escalating. Like the first time I came on here, they were threatening you with Factorio, and now they're signing you up for train clubs. Like I feel like this is moving in a dangerous direction.
Oh, I know. Like I said, some days I just, I wake up and I look at my pistol sitting on the bedstand, and I'm like, not today. Not today, buddy. Maybe tomorrow.
Oh man, J6 2.0 just threw. I mean, I know we don't need to read all the donos. We can do it on your schedule. But this is the funniest thing. I did a debate on my channel with somebody named Liberal Cluck, right? Yeah. And it was a pretty good conversation. Wasn't heated. I think we got through some interesting stuff.
How do you find these people?
I think he was from a WIC panel. But he
I liked WIC's whole like throwing around the Somali IQ thing.
Oh Jesus, yeah,
that was great. I was like, even Pesco's like, whoa, and I'm like,
WIC let that one slip out. Yeah. So after I debated Liberal Cluck, I did a like a wrap up stream, and we had some people on, and we were kind of talking about what the ideas were, and like what we learned, that sort of thing. And he's so left that without even thinking about it, I started referring to him as Liberal Cuck, not as an insult, but because I legitimately thought that's what his name was. Like I had just like flipped it in my mind.
He probably wants to be thought of it that way. That probably made his day.
Yeah, so I called him Liberal Cuck for like an hour, and then Tally was like, "Is his name really Liberal Cuck? I don't want to say that." And I was like, "No, it really is." Like I corrected her and made her call him Liberal Cuck, and then afterwards I was like, "Oh shit, that's not his name. My bad."
Well, and real quick, something I was trying to do because chat does send them in. I did get a package. Now, J-Rock, when you sent this in, free tip for you guys: do not use priority mailboxes and just cover up the barcodes because they'll make you pay postage due, and I had to pay postage on this. Don't ship in priority mailboxes unless you're using priority mail. they get real persnickety about that shit. Just as an FYI. Because I didn't know you couldn't do that, but apparently they get really, really ass mad over that. And if you didn't know that, Ryan, there you go too.
I mean, this you learn something new every day.
Yeah. So it's a giant Toblerone. Yeah.
More train gear, Sean.
Well, I think I have an idea what this is based on what's been told to me or hinted to me. Okay. Ooh. All right. Alrighty. It didn't click or tick, so that's already a letdown. Ooh, it got a little dinged up on the edges. Oh, okay. Oh.
Dare I ask?
They say call J-Rock Law. Thank you. J-Rock is an attorney down in the Hotlanta area.
Ooh.
And I like this. This is sexy. This is from the Celis Scouts in the Rhodesian Light Infantry.
Be a man among men.
Yes. It fight to protect Rhodesia, which, you know. Called Zimbabwe. It's like, do we now? You get that joke.
Well, that's gonna. I'm trying.
You
got a pretty busy wall behind you, but I'm sure you'll find a good spot for it.
Well, those are all related pictures, so they're all related. So, but yeah, that's it, guys. If you want to send me stuff, send it to the PO box down below. All right, so let's get started. This is out of the Fifth Circuit, guys. It's not Supreme Court. So right now, this is only Texas, Louisiana, and Mississippi. But the Fifth Circuit is they are taking names and kicking ass here. They are kicking ass here on this one.
They're not playing around. And I just to give the sneak preview to chat.
Yeah.
Yes, this is one circuit, but in my opinion, if this goes up to the Supreme Court, it probably is going to be upheld, and this would be the biggest win for Trump in terms of immigration enforcement of any decision I've seen. Like this completely changes the nature of immigration enforcement and would make it 100 times more efficient. Like this actually is a game changer of a legal decision. So we'll see. Chat's right there. The district court is frothing because they don't like this decision, but it's destined for the Supreme Court, and I think it's a pretty well-reasoned legal opinion.
And as I've been saying for months now, we've been living through a legal insurgency at this point. And it's, yes, there was a threat to the Constitution. It's been the court system at this point. I mean, because I get it. You're a federal judge, but yes, that's it. You are a federal judge, and that's where it should stop. But they are not letting it stop there. So, but yes, it's Mississippi, Texas, Louisiana. The reason why Texas, Louisiana are important is because that is one of the major immigration centers for the United States. All these people are getting shipped to Louisiana. There's a massive ICE facility there. There are massive ICE facilities in Tejas as well. And that's where they're doing a lot of the stuff. So this is very important. If you can get people there, they are under Fifth Circuit jurisdiction. So there is a lot of strategy involved in this. There's a lot of strategy involved here.
Yeah, and I don't know if you want to read the decision or if you want to kind of or give like an overview, like what's helpful.
Oh no, we're gonna get into it. We're gonna get into it because they start off very quickly here.
Yeah, so let's dive right in.
It's time now, chat. We've done enough foreplay.
Yeah.
All right.
Time for the main event.
Yes. So this is out of the Fifth Circuit. It came out on the 6th, guys. So it's been a couple of days. It came out Friday. But everybody's lost their minds about it now, and it's been very hilarious. The amount of, like I said, guys, the coping is amazing on this one. So dated February 6th, a month after the venerable holiday of January 6th, which is etched in the minds of liberals everywhere. So it is Victor Buenrostro Mendez versus Pam Bondi and the gang, Christy Nome, Todd Lyons, Matt Baker, all these people. And then Jose Padron Corarubias. I don't know. Maybe that's Bad Bunny. That's probably what his name is.
Probably.
For all those people, yeah. I will though say Bad Bunny, apparently he talked about the Jones Act like when he started his show, and I'm like, that's actually kind of cool.
Well, he probably saw the last Chappelle special, which was about the Jones Act.
Yeah.
So on screen, by the way, you'll see that Judge Edith Jones wrote this opinion. So just like to give like a little inside baseball, like I'm a member of the Federalist Society. At the last Federalist Society event I went to, Judge Jones was the featured speaker. And afterwards, we all had dinner and we're like chatting and hanging out. And she gave some remarks and we asked her some questions. This woman is unfathomably based. Unfathomably based as a starting point. But also for people who are fans of like my channel, when I do a little bit more of like the philosophy stuff, she is a big believer in natural law, a big believer in natural rights, a big believer in the philosophy expressed in the Declaration of Independence. She is exactly in the wheelhouse of kind of like the judicial philosophy and American philosophy that I espouse. So she, anyway, it was really a pleasure to meet her. When I saw her name on this, it jumped out at me because this is an unfathomably based opinion written by an unfathomably based woman.
Well, there we go. That is what we'll take that from here. So we'll, oh, I didn't save my update for the thumbnail and everything, but hopefully you guys can see that it's based. So now they point out here, it's all about statutory interpretation. So what better place for a court statutory interpretation by alien petitioners is novel. But their point, it's novel, but it's not like completely unseen before. They can see they're deemed to be applicants for admission, which means they are aliens present in the United States who have not been admitted by lawful means. That's also known as illegals. And they say each of them entered illegally many years ago. As such, the government contends because neither petitioner show themselves clearly and beyond a doubt entitled to be admitted, he should be detained pending his removal. And that's the government's position. They should be detained and held in custody till we can afuera them. And they say, obviously, no, we not like that. And they say, despite falling squarely within the statute of 8 U.S.C. 1225, they are nonetheless eligible for discretionary release on bond during removal, just like has been happening for decades. Oh, come back. Okay, I promise to come back. And then they're gone. And you never see them again. They point out that because they did not seek lawful admission, that's why they're there. And they say that these are framed by and this is the IRA. And you guys know that is not the hippest and happiest terrorist group out of Northern Ireland. It is the Illegal Immigration Reform and Immigrant Responsibility Act of 1996. This is one of those times where we did that whole cucky thing where it's like, we're going to have immigration reform or we're going to pathways to citizenship and then we'll seal they never actually do the border security part. They did everything but the border security part. So this is kind of one of those things. That's why you see the IRA. They say, but their interrelation had not been adjudicated until the past few months. And yeah, they're pointing out here, nobody had really had to deal with this until recently. And yes, that's true. The way Trump has been doing this is unique. But it's all within the law. It's all within the law. It just had not been done this way.
Yeah, and if we can pause for just 1 second just to get some context here. Yeah. First of all, chat, I will scroll when I feel like scrolling.
Your mouse is getting
my mouse will never be deported. No, my mouse stays. No, seriously, I actually I did get a one of those fancy mic arms delivered downstairs, but I haven't installed it yet. So the days of me terrorizing chat.
This is a $40 mic arm.
Yeah,
I get my $40 mic.
I just got it down. I just haven't put it on my desk yet. But this might be the last time I terrorize them with it. But you know what? Enjoy it while it lasts, gang. But here's the thing. This is a kind of a statutory decision. They're going to be looking at the law and various statutory provisions, and we're going to break that down for you. But the key baseline here is this. There was a very serious problem where if you evaded the border, if you evaded custody and you got into the country, you were treated better under the law than if you were checking in at the port of entry. That doesn't make any sense as a policy.
Yes.
So
yes, there was incentive for you to avoid reporting and avoid being caught.
Yeah, and the law didn't require it. The law actually said something totally different, but the government just did it for 30 years. And the Fifth Circuit has correctly figured out you don't have to do that.
Yes.
So while they're going to show you a bunch of law, a bunch of statutes, and it's a kind of a what's the definition sort of opinion, the headline here is they're fixing a very serious gap in our immigration policy.
Yes, they're pointing out you can actually, the law says you can do this. Is really the biggest thing there. Leaving Dev's walls specifically. Such a cute dog. Yes, this is Clyde. He is such a good dog. He's such a good boy. He's having a panic attack because 2.0 is not here.
Oh, Clyde.
Yes. It's the only tower you can build on your own on my channel. Most towers are community building exercises, but Clyde's so important he gets his own tower. All right. So they point out that the current presidential administration began detaining illegal aliens like the petitioners here for removal without bond rather than bonding and releasing them, which is completely fucking stupid because then you're going to have to catch them and then you're going to have to do it all over again. And after reviewing the relevant provision and structure of the INA, the Immigration and Naturalization Act, which is the statute that goes along with the IRA, and they point out the statutory history, congressional intent, we conclude the government's position is correct. So we reverse the district court's orders to provide petitioners with bond hearings. And here's the thing. These guys got habeas bond. These guys filed habeas petitions, and the court granted them. So these guys are out right now, like out on the street.
Well, and this
moment, I don't think they've been rounded up yet.
This is why this is such a big deal, right? Just to give you guys like a sneak peek into how this system actually operates. The government gets an illegal, right? And they start proceedings. Under the old system, they got released if they had a good enough lawyer, they got released on bond. Then if the lawyer's good, they slow the process down. And maybe you're in the country for a year, year and a half, 2 years before you get deported. During that time, you get to live the high life. And as Sean said, maybe they never find you again. Who knows?
Yeah, because if you disappear, your immigration lawyer goes, Judge, he's gone. Whoops-a-doodle.
But here's the thing. If you don't get bail, if you're held in detention during the proceedings, then there's no bad incentive, right? Because right now the government is saying, right, our policy as a nation is if you self-deport, we'll give you a check. We'll give you a check and a plane ticket, right? Because it saves us money on lawyers. It saves us money on jail
come back later.
Yeah. So like what ends up happening if you take away the bail is when people get, illegals get caught and they start the proceedings, unless they can show that they're here legally and they'll have a chance. If they can't show that they're here legally or that they should be here, then they're going to have to sit in jail for 2 years before they get deported. They're not going to want to do that. So they're going to choose to self-deport in overwhelming numbers. Yeah. It's going to make the system 100 times more efficient. It changes the entire incentive structure.
And it won't take 2 years. It'll actually be quicker because now we want, they're always ready to go. They're always available. So we can always just, hey, we need to schedule this. No, we're going to just get them in, get them out.
Well, yeah, quicker. And you don't have the incentives for an illegal to try to stay here and draw it out by filing motion after motion after motion are gone. Why would you file motion after motion after motion and slow play the whole thing if you're just going to have to sit in jail? Right? That's not fun for anybody. No, the whole point of slow playing is that you get to be out in America enjoying, our wonderful country. But if that changes, then the whole system is going to become more efficient. You guys would not believe the amount of work that lawyers do just to slow play legal proceedings. It's like a whole niche area that it's a skill set. So they draw
especially in immigration law, like it's entirely part of the game.
Yeah, you slow it down so that your client has more time in the country. It's a well-known phenomenon, and this cuts to the heart of it.
Mm-hmm. And guys, this is a little boring here, but as we talked about this, I've had to learn about it. Like I knew some basics of immigration law, just in general as an attorney. I tell people like, there's some basics there, but I've learned more about immigration law in the past 6 months than I have, in the past 10 years of being an attorney.
Yeah, I think we all have. It's
Yeah.
because suddenly the administration is trying to actually use all the powers it has, right?
Yes.
And this is one of those weird cases where for 30 years the government's had this power, they just haven't used it.
So they point out that before 1996, the detention provisions of the INA distinguished, as we talked about, if you enter the country at a port of entry, meaning you show up at the Laredo border crossing and say, like, I'm trying to cross, or if you sneak in through the desert. Those are two options. And it says aliens who arrived at a port of entry were subject to mandatory detention until conclusion of the process and could not request release on bond. And it says, and on the other hand, if you evaded inspection and reapprehended months or years later, you could seek release on bond pending deportation, which is asinine.
I mean, that's beyond asinine. Like,
Yes.
why would you be treated better for evading inspection?
Yes, this is the only time in court where having a history of FTAs is actually, oh yeah, court's like, I don't care. Normally when you have FTAs in court get really upset about that. But this is the time it's different. But yes, in other ways, the statute afforded greater procedural and substantive rights to people who bypassed the law. Yes. And then the Illegal Immigration Reform and Immigrant Responsibility Act, the IIRIRA, aimed to reduce this incongruity.
Now, this is so wild, right? So in 1996, Congress passed a law that was meant to solve this problem. The point of the law, as the court's telling us, was to make it so that people who evaded inspection were not treated better than people who were properly inspected, right? And yet, for 30 years, the government has done the opposite. So despite the law changing, the government just didn't change its policy, which is insane.
Well, once again, this is where, you should be, all the people screaming ultra vires should be like, the government wasn't following the law. Oh, no. It's like, wait, they were actually okay with it.
Well, this is why I get so frustrated when people talk about like, oh, well, with the Biden administration, they're like, well, the law's the same. So how can you say that Biden had an open border? I'm like, that's the point. There's a lot of power under the law to enforce immigration. By not doing
anything made it an open border.
Exactly.
I watched the videos of that forklift prying fucking barbed wire up. Like, are you like, tell me I didn't see that.
Well, exactly. And there's a lot of power that the executive branch had that they weren't using. And this is just one example of that, right? So, you don't necessarily need to change the law if the law already gives you a lot of power and previous administrations just have chosen not to use it.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, like if I know President Wick were to win in 2028, he could come in and January 21st, 2029, and tell the Border Patrol, quit patrolling the border, only work at port of entry, no patrol the fence. And guess what? That's what happens.
Yeah.
If you catch people, make sure that, you give them $20. Here's a bottle of water, give them a bunch of vouchers, and, tell them, vaya con Dios.
Well, there you go.
That would be a valid way of that. That would be within his power.
It absolutely would be, and that's why it's such a joke to say that, like, at the end of the Biden administration, the Democrats proposed a law which was clearly an election stunt, and then they're like, oh, well, how come we never passed that law? Well, like, the issue isn't even the law. The first step is just the willingness to actually enforce the border. That's it. Like, do you want to or not? And
this is, and all we're doing now is the thing that never gets done is like, let's secure the border first. This is what securing the border looks like, actually securing it. Now, they point out that, excuse me, Congress provided for the inspection by immigration authorities of aliens present, and they say that it provided that an alien present who has not been who has not been admitted or arrives in the U.S. shall be deemed for purpose of this chapter an applicant for admission. And that's in 225A1.
That's a key phrase, applicant for admission. You got to remember that phrase.
Yes. And that's where, are we in 220? Oh, I'm in the wrong spot. Sorry, chat. I thought I'd be able to pull that up. Did not get to the right section here. Damn it. But this is the if you guys want to know where to go, Title 8 of the United States Code covers the immigration law of the United States.
Yeah, and I can read. If you don't have it up, I can read it.
That's okay. We'll keep going here. If you might need to in a second here. They say aliens who meet statutory definition qualify as applicants whether or not they arrived at a designated port of arrival. And then following the passage.
How clear is that? Whether or not they arrived at the designated port of arrival, they are an applicant for admission. Now, whether that doesn't mean they have to apply. That's just they're deemed an applicant for admission.
Yes.
And that's the key, because if you're an applicant for admission, then the statute treats you in certain ways.
Yes. So this is where they, that's literally in the statute there. And they say, following the passage, an alien status does not turn on where or how the alien entered the United States. And honestly, I wouldn't have known that. I figured that's just the way it works. For the longest time, apparently that was how the law was written.
And this is what they tried to fix in 1996, right? Like previously, there was this gap, and in 1996, they fixed it.
Yeah, but honestly, I didn't know that. I didn't. That's the thing with some of this stuff. You have to learn it, and even as attorneys, you're like, oh wow, there really was a law already on the books for this. Usually, you don't encounter this with such glee. You're usually like, oh God, there is a law again.
Normally, oh my God, there's a law. My client's going to jail. But
this time, or no, this isn't going to work. So they point out the detention of applicants. And they say in case of an alien who's an applicant for admission, if the examining officer determines that an alien seeking admission is clearly and not beyond a doubt entitled to be admitted, and there are reasons you can show up to the border and still get admitted, the alien shall, not may, not might, it shall be detained. Shall is one of those words.
Yeah.
Be detained for the proceeding.
And like, just to let you know how crazy this is, the district courts that have been saying that this is not the reading of the law that they agree with, like, what does the dissent say? What do these district courts who think that this doesn't apply say? They say that the phrase alien who is an applicant for admission is different than alien seeking admission. And therefore, this doesn't apply. They think alien seeking admission is somehow completely referring to something different than alien who is an applicant for admission. When I think kind of a common sense reading of the statute would say, like, no, that's the same thing. What's the difference between with those two terms? An alien who's an applicant and an alien who is seeking. That seems pretty much the same thing. But that's what most of the legal arguments are about, is which term applies.
Once again, chat, the alien shall be detained. This is literally like, there's no questioning this. There's no questioning it. And they point out the Supreme Court said 1225B2 operates as a catch-all provision that applies to all applicants for admission not covered by subsection B1.
I mean, that's pretty clear.
Yeah.
That's a pretty clear line from the Supreme Court.
Yes, and they point out that B1 is alternative framework if you qualify for expedited removal proceedings. And they do lay out, there are times where you can be expedited. If you are, how do they handle this? What gets done? And how you will be removed and how fast you can be removed. And where is it? 'Cause I'm trying to find this is they point out there are other ways you can be if you're inadmissible for other reasons. And real quick, what are the other things here? If you falsely claim citizenship, that's one of the things. If you misrepresented to be a citizen of the United States, you're inadmissible. So if you lie about that, they can boot you. If you've had other visa entries, you're not in position of valid documents, and there's other things they can remove you right away. There are multiple ways they can do that. And they point out the INA as amended by the IIR IRA, contains provisions applicable to aliens in general, including those who are not applicants for admission. And they point out on warrant issued by the Attorney General, because remember, the DOJ is in charge of enforcing immigration law. An alien may be arrested and detained pending a decision on whether the alien is to be removed from the United States. It says it permits, but does not require the Attorney General to release aliens on bond of at least $1,500 with security approved by and containing conditions prescribed by the Attorney General. They don't have to, but they can if they want to.
And now, again, just to make sure that, because it's easy to get lost in the sauce of the statute, we've got two categories of illegal aliens in this case, right? Those who were trying to cross at a lawful port of entry and actually went for inspection, and those who got in somehow and have been detained by the government inside the country, but did not actually apply for inspection. Under the government's previous policy, you could get bail if you somehow snuck into the country and evaded inspection, but you could not get bail if you kind of did the better thing and actually applied for entry correctly, right? But we're not eligible for a variety of reasons. This is an insane policy. Because the person that you catch in the middle of the country is a much bigger flight risk than the person who you've detained at the border for obvious reasons. So this is the way that this was being done doesn't make any sense in terms of actually having a functioning immigration policy. So I think it's important to keep that background in mind as we're getting into kind of what the law says and how the definitions apply.
And they point out here, though, and this is a big thing here, because this isn't dicta. This is actually a big point here. They point out 1226 is not limited to applicants for admission. It also covers numerous grounds of deportability, including aliens who overstay or violate terms of visas. That I think, there's a lot here that they can use. They also engage in conduct that renders them removable or were improperly admitted. So, they could say, we shouldn't have admitted you. You don't get to turn around and rely on that. The government will say, oops, we shouldn't have done that. You have to go.
This is also a defense against a counter argument that I think people will make, which is that this interpretation renders 1226 surplusage, which is generally disfavored in the law, right? But they're saying, no. This covers a variety of other grounds for deportability. So even if our reading of 1225 means that a huge chunk of illegal aliens are now going to be detained, there's still 1226 still applies in some cases.
Now, they point out not everybody is eligible for a release on bond. If you committed one of the criminal offenses enumerated in 1226C, you lose eligibility. That includes crimes of moral turpitude. If you get convicted of a crime where your sentence is greater than 1 year, you can. There's cases involving drug offenses. And then also there's things under the Lake and Riley Act. Expanded it by adding new things for ineligibility for bond. So there's a lot of reasons you can lose it. And aside from being ineligible, aliens covered by this may also not be granted parole under 8 USC 1182.
Yeah. So 1226 still has a variety of purposes. But this is the interesting part. This is what I found fascinating, was what presidents did from 97 to 2025, despite what the law says.
Now, here's something, and this is something, just as footnotes important. Somebody asked me this in a DM today. They point out the DHS can exercise a parole authority to temporarily release applicants, and DHS has that authority still. But it only may use the authority on a case-by-case basis for urgent humanitarian reasons or a significant public benefit. Now, somebody had mentioned to me, can there be a class action for this? No. That's it. That was an issue addressed by Justice Scalia back in the 90s when this whole case, there was a case about the IRA. There was a whole issue about this that went to the Supreme Court, and it was like a 5-3 to I think 1, or one of them had to recuse. They said, no, you can't class action this. And that's good, because God almighty, they would try at this point.
But what do you bet that there's some district somewhere
Oh yeah,
that
well,
rolls the dice on that getting certified.
once again, I mean, but nobody ever gets in trouble. It's kind of like that judge who said, "Oh, here's all the judge in Minnesota who said, here's the 90 times Trump has defied court orders, and he's misciting things, double citing things." And I'm like, if you tried that in front of him, he'd be crawling up your ass with a red hot poker if you screwed up that bad. But apparently, it's all okay. You know, once again, you know, as an attorney, if you're like, you know, do you want me to encourage people to value the rule of law? If you do, I need you to play by the rule of law. If you want me to go tell chat to fire up their Serbian paramilitary squads, you know, you're doing it. You're helping, you're encouraging me to do that. Because I can't look at people with a straight face and say, let's have faith in the courts if the courts have no, you know, fealty to the Constitution anymore.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to watch how the courts in the Fifth Circuit deal with this, because there's some district courts that are going to be really. I think we've already seen it. They're really upset by this.
Well, this is going to go to the Supreme Court once, even when, you know, like we had to deal with that issue where the Supreme Court had to daddy dick that one judge. Like they'll do this until it happens, until they're stopped.
I mean, this seems like a pretty clean reading to me. I
understand, but
this seems. I think that if this goes to the Supreme Court, I think you said it'd be 7-2. I think, yeah, they might even get Kagan on this one. Like,
well, I mean, we're going to get a lot of this.
Clear. It just don't make no sense.
That's we're going to get a lot of that. We're going to get a lot of that.
Your chat is savage, man. Who made that?
That is, oh God, who is he? I forget his name in here, but he's Pim on Twitter.
AI is getting scary, man.
It's good. It's very good.
That's real.
I don't know if you've seen that clip. It showed over the course of years Will Smith eating spaghetti.
Oh yeah.
And at first it looks like it's all goobery, and by the end it's him talking, and it's like, look, it even tells us how to talk now, and like, yeah. So. But anyways, let's keep going here. They point out from 1997, the heydays of the Clinton presidency. Fresh off of what year was the impeachment?
Ooh, that's a good question.
What years were the impeachment?
I don't remember.
I was only 12 in 1997. 1998. So we are still like where Jennifer Flowers and oh God, what are those other hoochie mama names? Some of them, but anyways, this is the heydays of the 90s still.
Well, this is why Bill didn't realize the law changed. He was distracted.
He's like, I signed what? He's like, can I still fly airplanes full of cocaine into Mena, Arkansas? Yes. Well, I'll be. If you didn't know, that's what he did when he was the governor of Arkansas. Chat. Go watch American Made. He has a brief mention in there. Anyways, the successive administrations and many immigration judges. Remember, the immigration judges are Article 2 employees. They aren't real judges. They are glorified hearing officers. They are not Article 3 judges. They treated unadmitted aliens being subject to this rather than to 1225B2. And real quick, Joe Schmo with 50 subs.
Look at that!
God damn, guys! Oh God, it's like
coming in heavy.
It's time for Freebird, but like we gotta get the work done here tonight, chat. Oh, I really want a Freebird, but we got to do this. So we have guests. We have guests in the house tonight, chat.
Dare I ask what Freebirding is?
Oh, I
don't want to know.
We just have Freebird. Oh no, well, I guess we'll do it real quick. Hold on. We'll do a Freebird, chat. That's right, chat. Let's get some songs. Amateur iconoclast for one. Oh. That's right. That's right, chat. A flare of them all. For another 100 subs, and the Supreme Court will take the case tomorrow.
I didn't realize what I was walking myself into there.
Johan for 1 sub. Sorry, Ryan, we got to do this. The world demands it. John told him to watch Murder on the Track while you're catching up on Clinton lore. Oh, that too. Also, rest in peace, Vince Foster. 2 shots to the back of the head.
Unforced ego. Thank you so much, buddy.
EDW
Really
Raptor
appreciate that.
1 sub. Yes. Unforced ego for 10
Yes.
subs to RyanCMullally.
There we go.
That's right, baby.
Now I'm into it. I wasn't into it before, Sean, but
Yes.
now I'm into it.
We're freebirding now. Erica Thorpe, Wonder Bread for 10 subs. Jefferson Post for 1 sub.
Unbelievable. Look at this.
EDW Raptor for 5 subs. Luke says, happy birthday, Sean. In 6 months it will be, but not today. Oh. No, Bob, no, we got the music going. There's no video need to be shown. No video need to be shown. It's just the music. Johan with 5 more subs. Unforced ego for 10 more subs. Just
Look at
making
this.
it.
The
Just
hype
making
is
it rain out there, chat.
The hype is real.
Yes, he's finding all the grays out there. And
Oh,
Ryan's
ED
chat.
Raptor, Chipingro, and Jefferson sneaking into my chat with subs.
Yeah, just
Thank you,
making it
guys.
rain.
Thank
Cats
you.
out there. Just fighting all the lefties out there, just hosing them down. That's just all the subs are raining down right now.
Yeah, amateur icon class, Afton, and leaving Dev's walls
Making America,
specifically.
making America green again, chat.
Woo!
Spraying the gray away. 10 more subs from Wonder Bread. Thank you. Jefferson Post with another sub. EDW Raptor with 5 more subs. Ammo's Currency for 1 sub. EDW giving RyanCMullally 1 sub.
Hey.
Captain Grow for 1 sub. Jefferson Post for 1 sub. Iconoclast and Afton for a sub. Leaving Dev's Walls specifically for 1 sub. James for 5 subs for Ryan.
Unbelievable hype. Unbelievable.
Yes. Yes, show love to the leeching lawyers. Yes. Jack Cade wanted us killed, chat. You don't realize that. He wanted us all dead.
Yeah. We take your billables by day and your memberships by night.
All right, chat. There we go. All right, there we go. Yeah, so it came up. So you had to ask. There we go. See, you got. Yeah, aren't you glad you asked, Ryan? What Freebird was?
I am now glad I asked what Freebird was.
Yes.
I didn't know. Now I know. Now I know.
Yes.
And shout out to Zero Fucks. If
Yes.
Zero Fucks hadn't been kicking me in the ass, I wouldn't even have memberships enabled.
Oh
Zero
yeah,
Fucks,
'cause
Zero
you can
Fucks
set your
told me to get my
emojis
shit
up in
together.
chat. It's beautiful. You can make all kinds of emojis that'll. That's one. Of
Oh
the
wait, hold on. Can somebody show Sean the piss cry emoji? Is there any way to do that?
Oh my God, is there? Oh no, I gotta hold on. I gotta pull up my because StreamYard doesn't show them. I gotta go.
Yeah, someone can. We
Hold on,
can't.
let me pull it up. Start spamming them, chat. I need to see.
Yeah, can some.
Oh no, I don't even see this here. Is it gonna? Oh, I don't know if it's gonna show. I gotta go into your chat. I think.
I think you gotta go to YouTube. Yeah.
Well, no, I gotta go over to yours. All right, here we go.
Spam those emotes.
Oh, hold on. Oh my God. Jeez. That's like casino quality emotes there, Ryan.
Yeah, that's
Your internet game is very strong, sir.
credit to my mods who do all the
Okay,
work.
well.
Chipingro and Zero Fox put their heads together, and that was their beautiful creation.
Well, anyways, Joe Schmo, again, thank you for your support. Big fucking support tonight, chat. Yes. Oh my God.
Okay. Well, that was good. That was good. A
Yeah.
little levity.
Yes, a little level. It's you know, we're dabbing all kinds of ways tonight. We're dabbing on the grays, and we're dabbing on the illegals tonight. Oh. So they point out, though, but in July of 2025, the Board of Immigration Appeals, chat, if you didn't understand this, when you have an immigration judge, remember, they're Article 2 judges, so they're DOJ employees. They're not like judges. When they say, hey, you have to go home, and you want to say no, you appeal to the Board of Immigration Appeals, which is also run by DOJ employees. These are not judges. It's not an Article 3 court. You're not doing anything like that. So it stays in a very specific spot. They point out the matter of Yayure Hurtado. I'm probably close enough. Which reconsidered the framework and concluded that aliens who enter are subject to mandatory detention. And reaching the conclusion, they explained that remaining in the United States for a long enough time does not constitute an admission. And that makes sense. You can't just say, well, I've been here long enough and you didn't find me, so I must be allowed to be here.
I mean, it's not like the law doesn't need to like treat people who evade the law and break the law successfully better. Like that, you don't win a prize for evading the law for a long time.
You know how many of my clients, Your Honor, there was a warrant out for their arrest for 10 years. You know what? Like, should they get some credit for that? And it wasn't like they were like living in the woods. They were going to work every day.
So, but the remarkable thing about this, right, is that, so you have the law, and I actually think the law is not that complicated.
Yeah, I don't either. But.
The board made this decision, but I'll let you read it. But like, despite that, the judges have not been on board in many districts, not all, but many districts.
Yes. And ultimately, guys, you're wondering, how does this all work here? The DOJ can put people in position, so they can always steer this to judges they want, and like they can find based more pro-Trump friendly judge, and also they can just shuffle people around. Hi, you're not handling immigration appeals anymore. You're doing whatever. Like they can move you around. It's very different from an Article 3 court. Mm-hmm. So yes, you can set this up to get whatever result you want.
But now we have the Fifth Circuit confirming that this was the correct ruling.
Exactly. But I'm just pointing that out because people have asked me, how do these judges work? And I'm like, they're people get mad when I pointed out what the whole warrant thing. I'm like, it's not a real warrant.
No, it's not.
I know that, but they're like, but it's from a judge. And I'm like, they're not real judges.
I don't want to derail us, but like sometime remind me to tell you the story about like the time that I did a case before the Department of Education and like what an absolute shit show it was to be like, they were trying to take my client's money with the one hand, and then they were the judges, but it's the same people, right? Like it's the same department. So they're coming after you and they're deciding the case. Yes. It's a very different thing than being in a real court.
Spud Gun, no. And this actually, Spud Gun, he is, from England. No, an Article 3 judge is a judge who's nominated by the president and confirmed by the Senate. So a federal district court judge or the judges here in the Fifth Circuit are Article 3 judges. They can hear criminal and civil things. An Article 2 judge is basically a hearing officer.
Yeah.
It's obviously a little more than that, and I'm sure that a bunch of immigration judges would scree at me for calling them hearing officers, but they are hearing officers at the end of the day. They're known as administrative law judges, ALJs is a fancier term for them.
And so Spud Gun's not wrong. Like they are ALJs, they do administrative law, but it's a very small subset, whereas Article 3 does basically everything except for bankruptcy. Is the way to think about it, right? Like Article 3 has general federal jurisdiction.
Yes, correct. So they point out that unadmitted aliens apprehended anywhere are ineligible for release on bond, based regardless of how long they've resided in the United States, based again. And they say since DHS has begun to detain unadmitted aliens, well over 1,000 aliens have filed habeas petitions, and this is part of the lawfare. They're seeking to swamp the DOJ. And this has caused some DOJ attorneys to quit. And then there was they were like, the one attorney begged to get put in jail for the night. I'm sure she said that as a joke. That said, though, she lost her job the next day. But
Sounds like she didn't really want it, but yeah.
Yeah.
It is true, though. Like, I
yeah.
saw they were advertising
Yeah.
AUSA positions on X, which is like not a good look, right?
Yeah,
Like
but you know what, though? I mean, like, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. If you get hired into the Trump administration, you're gonna get fucking fired right away. If JD Vance doesn't win, like, that's
yeah. Well, that's what, these political jobs are always a little temporary.
well, yeah, but even if you get hired as a line AUSA,
Mhm.
which isn't a bad gig, you're not gonna have that job for long.
No,
But there is a end run around this that the government has been using very effectively. They bring in the Judge Advocate General Corps, and they bring in military attorneys who can do the work, and they are allowed to do the work. They are federal attorneys, and they are doing it, and they're getting conscripted to do it. They're getting sent in. I actually, one of the counties I work in, one of the assistant prosecutors is a JAG reserve officer, and he's like, I was really worried I was going to have to do that, but he's like, I've got orders cut to go to Korea next month anyway, so he's like, I'm not going to have to deal with that.
He's never been so excited to go to Korea.
Yeah, but he says like he knows other guys who are getting, hey, we need you in Minnesota, or we need you in Texas.
Yeah,
but 1,000 petitions, that's a lot.
It's a lot.
That's a lot. And they say in most of these cases, the district courts have found in favor. Yes. But we've also seen like
holy shit, that's a crazy parenthetical.
Yeah.
I've never seen anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Listing 350 decisions that found for the habeas petitioner.
Yeah. Guess how often the courts grant habeas otherwise if it wasn't
never
for a year.
It's so hard.
Never. Nobody ever gets habeas. But if you say I'm, por favor, por qué, they go, oh, okay, cool, granted.
Oh,
nobody ever gets them otherwise.
I want to look at that at maybe not now, but at some point, and be like, we should put a bet on that. Like, what jurisdictions are granting these positions?
Oh, I think we know.
Yeah, because I think you could probably,
or the judges in these jurisdictions,
make some guesses about where these are coming from.
Yeah. Yep. They point out the petitioners here are citizens of Mexico who enter the U.S. illegally. They have to go back. They have to go back.
Okay, so, but it's incredible that that's an admitted fact.
Yes.
Right. So, like, we're not even debating are they here illegally. That is an established fact. They are here illegally, and the question is, do they get to stay in America for a year while the proceedings commence?
Yes.
Or do they have to stay in custody while the proceedings commence? That's it. Like, there's no question. Are these people here illegally? It's an established fact.
Yep. One guy entered it 15 years ago. The other guy's been here 25 years.
Jesus.
25. This guy entered when I was a sophomore in high school.
That's unbelievable.
The DHS encountered each petitioner in 2025 based, and upon inspection, immigration officers determined that each was inadmissible. And they've been here without having been admitted or paroled. And that was the other thing Biden would do. You come across the border at the checkpoint, and they'd say, okay, well, here's your piece of paper. Show up later. And you were given parole.
So, I mean, they were here for a very, very long time, but they never acquired any legal status. They were just here. Okay.
Yeah. Well, it's too hard. It's like, well, no, nobody gave a shit. You were told it's cool. And they say DHS commenced removal proceedings against both. They both sought bond hearings before an immigration judge. Both immigration judges determined they were ineligible. Both petitioners appealed to the BIA and have either sought or plan to seek relief in the form of applications for cancellation of removal and adjustment of status.
So they're trying to file various motions to challenge whether they're deportable. Mm-hmm. Okay.
And they point out the one guy filed a habeas in July 2025 seeking release. His petition alleged violations of the INA, the Fifth Amendment, and the Administrative Procedures Act. The other guy filed his habeas in August of 2025, doing the same thing.
And they're looking for, like, it's phrased in the alternative, but they really want bond. That's what they want. They want to go under 1226 and get discretionary bond from a Article 3 judge. Yes,
and it's interesting. They want the court to force the executive branch to do something that they're not entitled, like, that's discretionary.
Mm-hmm.
And you might say, well, wait, Sean, that sounds like a separation of powers argument. Yes, Yes, it is. Yes, it's a problem. They can't force him to do it. But, these district courts are getting out of hand. So they granted the petition and ordered that he receive a bond hearing.
Mm-hmm.
Which, okay, well, then fine. I'll have the hearing. Still, no. Obviously, that wasn't going to be acceptable. The court reasoned the phrase seeking admission uses the present tense and thus applies only to individuals currently and actively be seeking to admit to the United States when they were apprehended. And because he wasn't actively involved in the proceedings, his detention was not subject to the most strict interpretations. The court also feared the government's interpretation would render portions of 1226 superfluous. Well,
That's the
Supreme
surplusage
Court's
argument
problem.
I was teeing up before.
That's the Supreme Court's problem. That's not yours, honey.
So wait, hold on. So the district court, I didn't even read this part before.
Oh.
They said that because it only applies to those currently and actively seeking to be admitted. So they're saying there's one rule that says you have to stay in custody. There's another rule that says you get bond. And the rule that applies to people who are currently and actively seeking to be admitted to the United States means that they have to stay in detention. But if you've been here and you've been evading the authorities for 10 years, you get treated better.
Well, as long as you're like, do you actually want to fight this? No, I'm just cool where I'm at. They're like, oh, I guess we can't touch you.
Well, but imagine that. They're like, all right, literally the logic here was if you go up to someone, you're like, hey, it looks like you've been in the country illegally. They're like, yeah, for like 10 years. They're like, well, are you trying to get legal status? And they're like, no, I'm not trying to get legal status. I'm trying to stay here illegally. And they're like, well, sir, be on your way. Have a bond hearing.
Have a great day, sir. You're like,
but on the flip side, if the guy was like, actually, I am trying to get legal status, they're like, straight to jail.
Yes,
straight
I would
to jail
like to
seeking legal status.
I want to do it the right way. Get the fuck out.
Go to jail, right? So like think about how crazy this is. Like the district courts had created a rule where the people who were trying to do the right thing were treated worse than the people who were doing the wrong thing. And as a result, it creates all these terrible incentives. And the craziest thing about it is they're doing it for this, like, look at the reasoning. They're saying because it's present tense, we have to do this crazy thing.
Yes.
That's not like that's a pretty thin branch, but that's a lot of weight on a thin branch.
It is. And Eric, you're saying in 2009 I was in high school? No, 2001 I was in high school. 2009 I was in my second year of law school. You're like, I was in the Middle East helping reduce the world's population. I know a lot of people that were, doing their part. They point out the district court that handled the habeas petition reached a similar conclusion. After they were granted, they both received bond hearings and were subsequently released, which, the government appealed. The two cases were consolidated for review, and this court, after initially refusing to expedite oral arguments, reconsidered and expedited this to this panel. Yet it still took them nearly 6 months to do this.
That's how it goes.
Yeah, it takes a long time. We receive full briefing, and they point out we review this de novo because it's a grant of a petition for habeas corpus.
Mm-hmm.
And some of you guys might say, what is this the same habeas corpus I've talked about before? No, this is a different type of habeas, guys. When I talked about criminals going through the federal court system for a habeas petition, it's a writ of habeas corpus, but it's a different standards, different things are at play. It's an entirely different analysis courts handle. This is very different. This is an actual true what you would think a habeas corpus petition is. I'm being held. I shouldn't be held. Why am I being held? I'm entitled to not be held. Because we've addressed those issues of where prisoners will file habeas petitions as well. And that's just, it's a different thing here. But now here's where it gets going. They concede their applicants for admission within the meaning of 1225A1. I think that was a big fucking mistake.
I mean, I get they probably couldn't have said otherwise, but I mean, look, it is a big concession, right? But honestly, it says in the case of an alien who is an applicant for admission, if the examining immigration officer determines the alien seeking admission is not clearly and beyond a doubt entitled to be admitted, the alien shall be detained. We read that, right?
Yeah.
So they've said they are applicants for admission.
Yes.
So you shall be detained.
Yes.
Right? That's not.
Yes.
It's not really more complicated than that.
Yes. Presence without admission deems the petitioners to be applicants for admission. But I don't know, like, why is this so hard to understand? But apparently it is.
Literally could have stopped the opinion right there. I actually think that like the statutory analysis could terminate right there. And you're like, yeah, that's pretty clear.
Yeah, this would act like one of those emergency petitions. Like, I don't know what more you want us to say.
Yeah, the rest of this is for the Supreme Court's benefit when they read,
Yes.
To see the logic. But like,
Yes.
it actually is, I think, pretty clear on the face of the statute.
Yes. And they point out, nor do the petitioners dispute that 1225B2A applies to them. If it does, it would require their detention without eligibility for bond. The statute unambiguously provides for mandatory detention. It's mandatory, chat. We said that. They shall be detained. Not, discretionarily. No, you have to detain them. You have to.
Yeah, so basically the petitioners admitted they're applicants for admission, and they've admitted that if 1225 applies to them, they must be detained. These are not things they even follow.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It mandates detention. And it says not just until the moment those proceedings begin. And notice that the italics you have to do it. And they say despite these concessions, they insist they fall outside the scope. And they say it only applies to aliens who are seeking admission, which once again gets to the argument of, well, no, I just want to lay low and hide. Okay, see ya. Have a good one.
The next sentence is amazing.
Yes.
Right.
Pointing to it, and yes, this is pointing to a definition of admission in 8 U.S.C. 1101. The petitioners contend that admission means the lawful entry of an alien to the United States after inspection and authorization by an immigrant officer.
Keep going. This is the money shot.
According to the petitioners, then, seeking admission refers only to those aliens who are actively pursuing lawful entry and submitting themselves to inspection by an immigration officer.
So because they've been in here for so long, and
it's
because
that thing we were joking about is what they're actually saying.
It's their actual argument. Like it's like Sean and I were kind of joking, but it's not a meme. It's their real argument. We've been in the country so long, and we are not seeking legal status. Therefore, we should be treated better. But if we were seeking legal status, we admit straight to jail.
Yes.
Right? Like straight to detention if we were seeking legal status. But we're actually trying to stay in the country illegally, and we're trying to stay under the radar. So we're not even trying to get legal status. Therefore, we should get treated better.
Yes. And imagine, like, here's the funny thing.
That's the actual argument.
I've made that argument before, kind of jokingly, before judges when you got nothing else. These guys 100% made this with a straight fucking face. And like the nerve to make this argument at the appellate level. This is almost frivolous.
Well, but Sean, that's why that parenthetical above was so crazy, because I mean, I haven't read it, but according to that case, this argument has won before district courts 350 times.
Which is insane.
That like 350 judges bought this argument, which to me just seems completely implausible.
Yes.
Anyway, it's fucking wild that this was even a contested issue. But anyway, here we go.
And Chapman Growth says, am I practice or is this a special program? No, that's why I can do all these little guys. Got that iron hand. It don't shake. Don't shake, chat.
Sean could have been a surgeon, but this is what he does instead.
Yeah, I know. I could have been a people mechanic. Instead, I mechanic the law. And like a mechanic, it involves screaming at it and hitting with a hammer. So thus they argue they were not seeking admission and it doesn't apply. Which once again, like I said, I've made the arguments. You kind of joke like, Your Honor, like, look, they kind of like stayed out of, like, give them a reward. They tried. They stayed out of trouble for 10 years. That should give them some, like, because if they had got caught breaking the law, they would have pinged on the warrants. So I'm like, Your Honor, cut them some slack. I would never actually go do that in like federal court or in the court of appeals. Like, it's a joke. The idea that this is what these soyed out immigration attorneys do is absolutely insane.
I mean, you have to. This is in any normal context. That's a Hail Mary.
This is the type of guy who would make that argument. Like, you know, you've seen his tweets now a lot, right? These
You
are
were
the type
telling me
of people
about
who
it.
make the arguments. Like, it's kind of like, you know, I want, like, whenever you do a Pisco or Wick, just say, like, do you agree? Like, you just don't want borders. Like, you could say that. Just let's get to the point. Like, just say you don't want people to get deported.
Yeah, let's be real. No, but I mean, this is a Hail Mary argument, right? Like,
Yes.
like the idea that they're getting rewarded for this argument with regularity is crazy.
Yes.
Like, imagine saying, "No, it's present tense. My client wasn't even seeking to be legal."
Yes.
But Chipingro, they won 350 times.
Chipingro, you know who's paying for these? So Google the Tides Foundation and the Open Society Foundation. Start from there. And if you go back far enough, you can go back to watching a guy named Glenn Beck with a big old chalkboard laying it out like it's an Al-Qaeda network. Don't worry, you can find all kinds of people who are involved in this.
Oh, and by the way, if you're watching this on Sean's side and you have not yet subbed to my channel, now's the time to do it. And I'm going to give you the reason why. We got so flooded with Freebird memberships a second ago that I'm almost positive that if you subbed, you would get a free membership.
So there we go, chat.
This would be the time to go get your free membership. Go chase that Freebird.
Yes. Well, FDNY is saying, what good is the warrant if the sanctuary cities won't do anything with it anyway? Well, it's more about once you get them into court is more of the issue there. But yeah, Chappico, these are being paid for by nonprofits. Like, they're paid to go do this.
Yeah. So. Ironically, I don't know about this context, but in the asylum context, and I'm not besmirching them because the people I know who work there are really lovely people. But there are some legal aid societies that were receiving USAID money to do asylum work where they were representing asylum seekers against the government. So often there's there is a pipeline of federal funding that goes to the NGO that then shows up and then represents against the government that's funding them, which is ironic.
Happens all the time. It's so incestuous where the money flows.
Yeah. Sean Sandwich Sundry, thank you so much for the membership, buddy.
For wide sob.
Thanks, buddy. Really appreciate it.
Yes. And they point out, and this is just, that's bad when they point out that the text and context of the statute contradict their reading of the statute. They're just
but there's like both the textual argument and the context of the statute say you're just wrong. Like this makes no sense.
Yep. Yes, and George Soros' son married Huma Abedin. Yes, he did. Yep. I still hope every once in a while that like some submarine out in the Mediterranean accidentally launches a cruise missile accidentally, and it accidentally finds its way all the way to Davos, and just one day it might happen. Computers have accidents. But notice they say not only are you wrong, the proper reading begins with the ordinary meaning of the language. Oh, Mr. Ubercross for 10 subs.
God, Mr. Ubercross is just on fire. Mr. Ubercross, by the way, is another attorney. He does family law. If his base is hell. So if the three of us ever want to powwow, he's a good guy. He and I were chatting the other night.
We can do that one night. Drink some road pops and
tell some war stories.
We can shoot the shit. That'll be fun.
He wanted to do a stream about lawyers, kind of like talking about careers and like telling war stories and shit. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
You won your trial? Hell yeah.
Yeah.
We got that dub.
Oh shit, you won? Congratulations, Ubercross. That's a feeling.
I got a dub last week myself, and good. Dubs are even family court especially. Good job.
Yeah, man. Enjoy a tasty brown liquor of your choice.
Yeah. They point out though there is no material disjunction by the terms of the statute or the English language. Between the concept of applying for something and seeking something.
So, again, remember what the argument the other side was making here. They're like, first they said, oh, no, we're not currently applying, so it doesn't count. Then the second argument, that's their best argument. Their second line argument is, no. We're not, maybe we're applying, but we're certainly not seeking. And it's like, oh, come on. How is applying for admission and seeking admission meaningfully different? Like, what are we really talking about? This is the type of
shit people hate lawyers for, but this is, I somebody on Twitter once said, like, you're just being semantic. I'm like, that's the point of the law, is to be really fucking semantic.
No, look, we do this. This is what lawyers do. We find loopholes. We make technical arguments. No shade to the lawyers who tried it, because this is what we do professionally. But at a certain point, you've got to inject some fucking common sense into the law. When you're saying, like, if your best argument is, my client, this law doesn't apply to my client because they weren't even trying to do anything legal. They were trying to stay illegal. That's your best argument. And then your second best argument is, Your Honor, applying for admission and seeking admission are clearly totally different things. Yeah. Like, it's crazy to even consider those related concepts. These are bad arguments. These are 5% arguments. These should never win. 350 times they won.
Yes. And to be fair, though, you could just say, like I said, I think that guy could just go up there. If they just say, Your Honor, the orange man, and the judge would have been like, granted. So,
I mean, this is a bad argument.
I know, but that's all it would take in those 350 courts. I guarantee you. If you just said, but Your Honor, the orange man out there is, look at what he did at CCOT, and it's so scary, and they would have granted anyway. They point out when a person applies for something, they're necessarily seeking it.
Obviously.
Yes. From the Webster's New World College Dictionary. Page 69. Based.
Wait, hold on. She compared. I swear to God, Judge Jones is so based. She compared the definitions. She says apply means to make a formal request for something, and seek means to request or ask for something.
Yes. Yes.
Like, this might not be funny to normies, but in like a legal community, for a judge to be like, your argument is that seeking and applying are different, and then they're like, compare the dictionary definitions, motherfucker. Yes. Just read them.
And
read the goddamn dictionary
definitions. Yes.
That's legalese for snark.
Yes, this is like, listen, I'll spell it out for you. Just as an applicant to a college seeks admission, an applicant for admission to the United States is seeking admission to the same, regardless of whether or not they actively engage in affirmative acts. The everyday meaning of a statute terms confirms that being an applicant for admission is not a condition independent from seeking admission.
Obviously. Like, it's like, it's crazy that anyone had to write that, but I guess someone had to write that. So thank God someone did.
And oh my gosh, I haven't gotten this far. This is getting worse for them. The petitioner first responded seeking is in the present tense, and thus it requires some form of affirmative action. Once again, the ordinary meaning suggests otherwise. Judge Jones is doing that. Listen, Linda. Listen, honey. Return to the example of the college applicant. It would make no sense to say as soon as the applicant clicks submit, she is no longer seeking admission merely because she doesn't take any further affirmative steps to gain admittance. Instead, she would ordinarily be understood to be seeking admission as long as her application is pending. The same is true here.
I mean, but like that sounds obvious and silly, but that's literally what their argument was.
Yes, we have to explain this now. We have to explain this now.
Their argument was that, like, well, yes, technically the statute says that any applicant, any illegal alien who is here is an applicant by the statute that Sean showed you. Like, that's how they're defined. Yes. But they're not. They haven't tried to get status in a long time. So clearly they stopped actively applying. It's like, no. The definition applies to you because you're an applicant. You don't magically qualify for better status because you stopped even trying to do anything legal. Like, on a policy level, it makes no sense. But then also, it's just like a real reach in terms of the language.
Level, yeah, it doesn't work. It don't work. And Barton Bella, man, for 25 months. Thank you for the support. Says they have detained a suspect in Savannah Guthrie's mom's kidnapping.
Oh,
I
really?
think she's probably dead by now. But yeah, well, they caught somebody. Good. Hopefully they could figure out what happened. I mean, I think somebody in the family did it, but that's just me.
If that goes to trial, you'll have content for days.
Oh yeah, well, man, it might be federal though. That's a sad part.
Oh, yeah.
So, they point out here the petitioners are deemed by statute to be applicants for admission pending the resolution of the removal proceedings. And this is the thing here, Tim. You're saying, but they're undocumented, no applications. Federal law doesn't consider. You are considered an applicant for admission, even regardless of your status.
And I don't know if Tim was just kind of like being snarky, if he's being serious. I don't know, Tim.
Yeah.
Undocumented is just a word that people made up because they didn't want to say illegal aliens about 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. Like this is not like a legal term.
I think it's been around longer than that, but yeah, but it's like when I'm in court, I have to point out, Your Honor, my client's suffering from housing instability. And I actually use that because I think it gives them a little more dignity in saying they're a homeless or a bum. You know, well, like they.
Yeah, because you're representing them.
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah, but you say that you use housing instability, employment instability, you know, all these different things. You know, mental health concerns. You know, you don't say they suffer from mental illness; they have mental health concerns they're dealing with. But yes, it's regardless if you're here illegally. Whether or not you showed up at the port or you snuck across, you're an applicant for an admission.
But
because
also
certainly if they said you could show up, hey, can we make you a citizen? They'd be like, oh hell yeah.
Well, and undocumented isn't like whether or not it's a nicer term to use and people use it. It's not one of the terms that's in the law. It's not a legal term. It's just a it's like when I was debating PSCO on birthright citizenship, and you know, I had to figure this out because okay, like most people say Native Americans now, but if you look at all the laws about birthright citizenship, about the 14th, it's all about Indians because that's the term. And
to be fair, in the Indian, like the Bureau of Indian Affairs, it's Indians, it's not Native Americans.
Yes. Well, and also it gets really confusing if you imagine this is a great example. In the case we're reading. The difference between applying and seeking and present tense is like a big deal legally. So when you introduce a whole new word, right, that can really confuse the issue. Sometimes you just need to use the words that exist in the law so you can be clear, right? Like if you try to muddy it with all this kind of very, very empathetic and kind language, it gets actually very hard to figure out what the fuck you're talking about.
It does. 100%. I agree. And what was I going to get to? But yeah, it's like, you know, there's the Indian Child Welfare Act. It's not the Native American Child Welfare Act. It's the Indian child, because it's meant to be if a child is a member of an enrolled Indian tribe, the tribe has the right to know what's going on, because otherwise almost all children are native to the United States.
Exactly.
So. And they point out here that while they remain applicants, they are presently seeking admission. That seeking admission is equivalent to being an applicant for admission by operation of law, as confirmed by the Board of Immigration Appeals a decade ago.
Yeah, so this is just this is such a garbage tier argument. But anyway, apparently it won 350 times, so what do I know?
Yeah, well, it's, they point out petitioners contend that interpreting the applicant for admission to necessarily tell seeking admission would render seeking admission redundant. And they say, to the extent the government's interpretation creates any redundancy, that redundancy does not give this court a license to rewrite another portion of a statute contrary to its text. Which is a very good point. It's not our job to fix that. We have the people who made the law. They can fix that. You know, they're called Congress.
That's what they do.
They fix the problem.
And also, I don't even think the redundancy is that bad.
It's not. It's not. But like they're saying, even if it is that bad, you know, the redundancies are common in statutory drafting, sometimes in an effort to be doubly sure, sometimes because of inadvertence or lack of foresight, or sometimes simply because of the shortcomings of human communication. And they say, moreover, there's no canon of interpretation that forbids interpreting different words in different parts of the same statute to mean roughly the same thing. Yeah, if you're in A1 and then A2, it doesn't have to mean the same thing. It can be different things. And there's a reason that it could be different. It all depends on how you're looking at it. They point out this seems doubly true where the ordinary meaning of the terms overlap, because being an applicant orally entails seeking admission. It seems unnatural to use those words somewhat interchangeably.
Yeah, I mean, basically what they're saying is in legal documents, it's pretty common for people to be pedantic and use the exact same word every time because they want to avoid any ambiguity. And that's why you have these canons about like interpreting different words to mean different things. But here, in the context of this statute, where the purpose of this statute, as the court explained, was to fix this problem where people who are here illegally were treated better than people who are actually doing the right thing at the border, reading it in the opposite way, which would create the problem the statute was attempting to solve, would be bizarre, especially because applying and seeking are natural synonyms. It doesn't make any sense to treat them as meaningfully different terms.
And if they, and there's the other thing is that if you want it to be different, you can explicitly state for this section, this means an entirely different thing. And if you want to do that, you can do that. But if not, it's going to be presumed that you're kind of okay with it being presumed to be the synonym still. If you want to make it different, you can say for this little box, it doesn't mean what you think it means. But you have to tell us that. And if you don't, then we're left to, make our assumptions. And they say, undeterred, notice this is the judge saying, yet still you pester me with the idea that it's a term of art. So it cannot be understood according to its ordinary meaning.
Okay.
This is, but the remaining provisions confirm that applicants for admission are indeed necessarily seeking admission.
But first of all, there are such things as term of arts in law, but applicant for admission, this is not a complicated term.
No.
This isn't like res judicata or, any of the various legal Latin or statutory phrases we throw around. Yes. Applicant for admission. Who's an applicant for admission? The applicant. Like, this is not, this is common sense.
Yes, no, these are real arguments.
They won 350 times with these arguments.
They could have just said, like, they could have literally just typed out a Reddit post, Your Honor, please help this heckin' immigrant Reno. And the judge would have been like, yep, give me karma. Updoot me. They point out, though, that there's other things here, that all aliens, including alien crewmen, they mean by alien crewmen, they don't mean from flying saucers. They mean like boats and ships, that are crewed, that contain foreigners who are applicants for admission or otherwise seeking admission or readmission or transit through the United States. So let's say, for example, the Panama Canal, let's say that you could take the Mississippi River all the way up through Canada, up into the, Arctic Ocean, and you wanted to pass through, you need permission to travel through the United States still. And you shall be inspected by immigration officers. Now, like you guys might say, what about the Panama Canal? That's different. There are treaties and status for that. Mm-hmm. But the United States controls the Mississippi River for the part that it's on. It gets to set whatever rules it wants. And they say the use of otherwise suggests that applicants for admission are a subset of those seeking admission.
Now, this is a kill shot.
Yeah.
Because it's a subtle one, so I just want to make sure this is clear. Mm-hmm. The argument that the petitioners were making is that seeking and applying are completely different terms.
Yes.
And here the court's saying, no. Applying is a subset of seeking. They're related terms where seeking is even broader than applying.
Yes.
Right? But if they're related and broader, if an alien seeking admission has to be put in detention, and you've already said that you're an alien who's an applicant, you've conceded that point. Well, then you must, if seeking is broader than the contained term applying, if you're seeking, you are necessarily applying, therefore it applies to you.
Yes. So it's like the squares are rhombuses, but not all rhombuses are squares.
Exactly.
Is that the right way to, I don't remember.
I think I think it's supposed to be all squares are rectangles, but not all rectangles are squares.
Yeah, I thought there was one about rhombuses too. But yeah, that's
You can do it with
correct.
rhombuses.
What's that?
Yeah, you can do it with rhombuses.
I don't know why that's
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, this is basically a kill shot to that argument.
Yes. Not all cartel members are Mexicans, but all Mexican. Not all Mexicans are cartel members, but all cartel members are Mexicans.
False. They got cartels in Venezuela.
Yes, but all the members of the Gulf Cartel.
There you go.
And they say, as the government points out, when an English speaker uses the phrase to bike, jog, or otherwise exercise, the first two items constitute one item out of the overall set. Accordingly, an applicant for admission is necessarily someone who is seeking admission, and that's because exercise is the umbrella term for biking or jogging. It's the umbrella term.
Mm-hmm.
But I could bike or jog, but if I'm exercising, I am also biking and or jogging.
Yeah, it's the broader term. Seeking is broader than applying, but applying is contained within seeking. You could never apply for something without seeking an outcome.
Mm-hmm.
What would you be applying for if you weren't seeking a specific outcome?
Yes. And they point out that 1225A5 reinforces that relationship. And it says it provides an applicant for admission may be required to state under oath any information sought by an immigration officer regarding the purposes and intentions of the applicant in seeking admission to the United States. So you're an applicant and now you're seeking admission. They point out that seeking is the process, and how do you seek admission? By applying.
It's amazing that, I mean, again, I think this is really for SCOTUS, just so SCOTUS can see their work, because like this is so common sense that seeking and applying are related terms. But again, this is what they're dealing with, so they've got to spell it out.
Yes. And they point out here that it strongly suggests, meaning those who are applicants are for admission are seeking admission. Okay. And they say that petitioners offer no persuasive response to these provisions. Now, with respect to 1225A3, they suggest that or otherwise means that aliens seeking admission are proceeding in a different way or manner than applicants for admission.
How so? Like what?
Yes. What is the difference? What is the difference? And they say, but if that were true, Congress would have said applicants for admission or those seeking admission. Once again, it comes down to how did they write it? How do we interpret it?
They could have put a disjunctive, but they didn't.
Yeah, and remember, they could have also said, hey, we're drawing a little box around this and says, if you are seeking admission or applying, those, they could have boxed them off in their own little worlds and made them mean something. And they can say those are clearly distinct from each other, but they never did that.
But also, the statute makes total sense. It says, in the case of an alien who is an applicant for admission, right? So that's the narrower term. If the immigration officer determines that an alien seeking admission is not clearly and beyond a doubt entitled to be admitted, the alien shall be detained. So they say, like, if you fit the statutory term and you are seeking admission and you can't make this showing, you must be detained. That's not like I don't even think this is even confusingly drafted. It's not. Right? Like it makes total sense. Like they gave the statutory
in the case of an
term.
alien, we know who aliens are. I mean, like, and this is chat. We'll do this right here. Who is an applicant for admission? We understand who's an applicant for admission.
And by the way, remember the petitioners conceded they meet this definition.
Yes,
they conceded that point.
This is checked, and they also agree they're aliens. We also don't have to worry about who an immigration officer is.
Check.
So we're going to worry about that. And it determines that an alien. Once again, we know who that is. And once again, we know who alien is, so we'll leave those parts alone. It says seeking admission is not clearly and beyond a doubt entitled to be admitted.
Well, they did not make that showing. So the only question is, if you're an alien who's an applicant, are you seeking admission?
Yes.
And like that's
and
it.
Clearly you are. Because I mean, like, if you're an applicant, you're seeking admission, because if I'm an applicant for admission, I'm not seeking admission because, I filed the paperwork. I really don't want it. That's not how this works.
Well, because applicant is a narrower subset of the term. Yes. So if you're an applicant, you must be seeking.
Yes.
But again, this is like,
and they're literally, and they said here, they don't say and or or just or, it's literally in the same sentence, so it's presumed that they are relating to each other. Because nobody's confused what this means. No one's really confused about what this means.
I don't think anybody would read this and be like legitimately confused.
No.
But imagine, I know chat like this is like legalese at times, but like imagine this, like the lawyer with a straight face going, well, this doesn't apply to my client, Your Honor, because my client wasn't seeking admission. My client was attempting to hide and never be found. So clearly, he's
not applying. Yes.
Yeah, they should not be put in detention.
Arrest him.
They should be let out on bond because we weren't even trying.
Arrest the prosecutor, Your Honor. Yes. And it says if they're not beyond a doubt entitled to be admitted, the alien shall be detained. Okay, well, who shall be detained? An alien. Well, what kind of alien shall be detained? An alien who's beyond a doubt not entitled to be admitted. Okay, and let's work backwards to this. Okay, well, what type of aliens are not entitled to be admitted beyond a doubt? Well, those that are seeking admission. Okay, and how does that work there? Well, the immigration officer has to determine if they're an applicant for an admission.
And by the way, like,
and you can go backwards through it, or you could go forwards through it.
Yeah,
and it's not hard.
And if the alien, by the way, can show I'm entitled to admission, right? Then they're not held on bond. They're released.
Yes,
right.
And they could still lose later, but they could show, hey, look, under the law, I'm actually entitled.
Yeah,
or I'm getting asylum or whatever.
It's not like this is everybody has to be in detention forever. But if you can't show that you belong here, like if you're detained, let's say you're in the middle of the country, you're in Ohio, and you're detained, and like these guys, you've been here for like 10 years, right? And they're saying like, well, are you legal? And they're like, no, I'm not legal. I've just been here. It's like, well, holy shit, we should probably hold you on bond because you've been hiding for 10 years. You might hide again. Right? Like this is not like a crazy illogical thing to do.
No, it's not.
But in any case, it's treated as if it's like some kind of insane idea.
Yeah. Or they could say, hey, look, I was actually granted a special visa 10 years ago. And I was told I didn't have to worry about it. And they might have said, okay, look, we're not 100% sure. Like, yeah, you actually might be entitled to be here. Have a good one. We'll get a hold of you later.
Yeah. Basically, if they can show that they clearly or beyond a doubt are entitled to be admitted, then fine. But at the same time, if they're like, hey, here's my visa, and they're like, that looks like it expired. They're like, oh, I was told don't worry about it. Well, it's like, well, we are worried about it.
Well, but they might say, hey, look, here's my visa. Because there's actually, guys, there's like a million different kinds of visas the government will issue. Some visas don't require to be renewed. Sometimes they're good forever. Like sometimes they're very long periods of time they're good for, depending on like if you are a refugee or you've been a victim of international trafficking, or depending on like if you're one of the VIS visas from Afghanistan. There's a lot of things you can get. And you can say, look, no, I was granted a visa. And they're like, oh, you're entitled to be here. Okay, cool. We'll figure this out later. So, yes, it's 100% reasonable to assume they'll evade.
I mean,
the indefinite visas, those things are extremely rare and very hard to get. But there are some visas that you get for that.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that you've been evading for 10 years is very good reason to think you might continue to evade.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Like So they point out here, they say, if this was true, Congress would simply have said, and they said, adhering to the government's reading would render the otherwise surplusage because or otherwise does not mean the same thing as or. And they said the other alternative offered makes no more sense than the first one. They suggest the or otherwise language merely clarifies which applicants are required to be inspected. Namely, those who, like other non-citizens described in this, are requesting permission to enter, re-enter, or transit. So once again, this is circling back to the argument of, well, we're not actually doing anything. We're just hiding. We're not wanting anything here. We're not requesting permission to enter, re-enter, or transit. I'm just working at Home Depot. Well, okay, you're not participating. It's very funny. It's like Wicker v. Filburn, but I'm not participating in interstate commerce. Yeah, you still are. You're always.
This one is so crazy because it's like I'm in the country illegally and I am not seeking to become
Am I
legal.
wrong? Is that not a way to look at this? It's almost like they're arguing, well, you're not because Wicker v. Filburn says if you're not involved in interstate commerce, you're affecting it still. Well, I'm not actually trying to apply. Okay, well then you're not affecting immigration law. It's like, no, you're always affecting immigration law.
Yeah.
You're always involved in interstate commerce. And I think that's a great way to make the argument. Like, that's literally what they're saying here. And I think that's a correct reading of this.
I'm not a big fan of Wicker v. Filburn.
No, I know that, but the idea that the whether or not you snuck in, you are seeking admission.
Well, yeah, it's not like the thing about seeking is it's not like it's a subjective thing about you. Like we're not asking, are you personally filling out paperwork outside the office? It's like you came into the country. If you must be seeking admission because you're in the country. Right?
Like I'm going to scrap that argument I was trying to do as an analogy. That's not going to work. I was just never mind. Please don't try to reinforce Wickard. I'm not necessarily. I was drawing.
You know what? Based priest. Based.
Yeah, I agree. I'll leave that one alone. We're going to throw that in the garbage.
No Wicker v. Filburn in this channel.
Yeah, we're going to throw that one in the garbage. I thought that might work here, but no. And it says this interpretation ignores the beginning, which mandates inspection for all applicants for admission. Which, yes, all applicants for admission have to be inspected.
Yeah, and they've conceded their applicants, but anyway.
Yes. And they say, given that language, the or otherwise language cannot be clarifying which subset of applicants for admission apply to, because it unambiguously applies to all of them. And it says
because of the word all.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. If the petitioners are right that only those who are actively seeking admission are subject to the inspection requirement, then their reading would eliminate the inspection requirement for aliens entering the country unlawfully, which once again would allow you to illegally enter the country.
But again, that's what's so crazy about this. That's the heart of their argument is that, I'm not seeking admission. I'm just sneaking across the border.
Yes.
I don't want to be admitted. I want to break the law.
Mm-hmm. Also, this is a big thing here too. This is an equal protection issue. I mean, if they're going to argue the 14th Amendment applies to them, it would return to the pre-regime which illegal entrants receive favorable treatment compared to people lawfully undergoing process.
Well, and remember, at the very beginning of this,
I think that'd be a funny one to throw in their face. It's like, I guess the 14th Amendment doesn't always apply to them.
Well, and also remember what she said at the beginning of this opinion. She said early in 1996, they passed this law for the express purpose of avoiding this problem, where illegals were people who were illegal entrants were receiving favorable treatment compared to aliens lawfully undergoing admission procedures. And then they're arguing, let's go back to that world. Well, it's like, well, okay, buddy, but Congress passed a law for the express purpose of avoiding that scenario. So if your interpretation requires that we do the thing the law was attempting to fix, you want to go back to the problem. That's a real strained interpretation.
It just doesn't work. And, there's a lot of problems with this idea that by breaking the law, you gain better outcomes than, that's a public policy issue on top of it.
Yeah, well, this is what she said at the beginning. She's like, if you look at the history, this doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
If you look at the context, this doesn't make any sense.
But a public policy argument alone, that's always never usually a persuasive thing. That's an important one you need. But
that's what I mean. They lose on the language, they lose on the history, they lose on the context, they lose on the policy. None of it makes sense. Right? Like they lose on every level. You almost never see a slam dunk like that where you lose on every level of the argument. But here you got one.
It do be like that, Mr. Martin. Yes, it does. It says, to make matters worse, if Congress had intended an alien seeking admission to mean effectively an arriving alien, it would have simply said arriving alien. And once again, we point out, they could say what they want.
Mm-hmm.
Congress did not hesitate to use arriving alien language elsewhere in 1225. So they do use it there, but just not here.
Yeah, they know how to say it.
And they say, despite Congress' decision seeking admission, um, in the same breath as applicant for admission, not once but 3 times, which shows this is what they meant. It wasn't an accident.
Mhm.
The petitioners urged the court to interpret seeking admission in the same way. Congress elected not to use it in the rest of the goddamn statute.
It's a very convenient reading. Let's put it that way.
Yes. Yes. Oh, yes. It's what they want when they want it.
Hmm.
They point out, is that not the only textual oddity that results? And they say the petitioners would have the court believe that Congress defined the applicant for admission broadly to include all aliens present in the U.S. who have not been admitted, but then every time it subsequently used it, narrowed it to apply to only those actively seeking admission.
Yeah. Congress said that if an applicant for admission is broad and it's all aliens in the United States that have not already been admitted, right?
Yes.
And we know that's what it means in A1. But in the rest of 1225, it means this.
It totally means something else, bro, buddy.
Totally different thing. Of course.
Trust me, bro.
Yeah.
Trust me, bro.
It's present tense in the rest of it. Don't worry about it.
Yes. Yeah. Don't worry. Don't worry about that little guy.
Mm-hmm.
They said under that interpretation, Congress could simply define applicants for admission as those arriving in the United States, omitting from the definition any references to aliens present who have not been admitted. Yes, and they point out Congress could have done that, but they didn't.
And of course they didn't. Congress defined applicants for admission as everyone here who's not yet been admitted because you need a broad category, because you need to be able to capture people who are here illegally and are not yet admitted, right? Like that's why they created the broad term. That's the whole point of the 96 law.
Yes. And if Congress wanted it, they would have done it a certain way because they're not idiots. They could draft it how they most of the time. Yeah, they could draft it how they want to draft it. And they said, finally, contrary to the contention, it does not render the other statutes superfluous. And they say Section 1226 undeniably does work independent from 1225 B2A because only 1226A applies to admitted aliens who overstay their visas, become deportable on many different grounds, or admitted erroneously due to fraud or some other error.
Now, this is an important fact because if you get in debate, if you start debating this with people, they're going to say, "Oh, it makes 1226 surplusage," but no, it doesn't, because if you were admitted over a visa under a visa and you overstayed, that might be a problem, but you were admitted, right? So that's a 1226. That's a different category. If if you fall into these different categories that the court listed that are not people who were never admitted, then then you fall out of this language. You're in 1226 land, and it's discretionary bond.
Yes, and you notice, and this is in 1226, guys, and you can go to these sections, which if you highlight, we'll click on these in a second, but they talk about, are you arrested for, is convicted of, or admits to having committed, or admits committing acts which are burglary, shoplifting, assault on a law enforcement officer, or any crime that results in death or serious bodily injury to another person. So these are very specific things.
Yeah, 1226 does a variety of things beyond what the court's
if you're deportable under 1227 A2A1, let's see what that is. Any crime involving moral turpitude, meaning generally theft or fraud, committed within 5 years. You're convicted of a crime, a sentence for which a year longer may be imposed. Okay. And then what's 1182? 1182 means you engage in terrorism activities. Yeah, we don't want you. Are you likely to engage in terrorism? Have you done anything or incited terrorist activity? Are you a representative of a terrorist organization or your political social group that endorses or espouses terrorist activity? I mean, kind of like if you're out there cheering for fucking Hamas and you're part of groups that endorse it. I'm just saying.
Yeah. And if
when you happen to be, Mahmoud Khalil, and you happen to be a glowy who worked for the Foreign Commonwealth Office. I'm just throwing that out there. Just throwing that out there.
And if you scroll up to A sub 2, this is 1226, right?
Yeah. No. Well, this is actually we jumped to 11.
Oh, we jump back. Okay.
Yeah. Here we'll go to A sub 2. Yeah.
Right. So if you go back up to A first, we can read it.
Yeah. We're
it says, all the way up. Sorry.
Okay.
On warrant and issued by the Attorney General, an alien may be arrested and detained pending a decision on whether the alien is to be removed, except as provided in subsection C. And Sean showed you that in C, if you did like a violent crime or various other things, then this doesn't apply to you. And then it says in 2, you may be released on bond, right? So this creates a general rule. You may be released on bond, right? Unless a more specific rule applies to you. Well, what are the more specific rules? If you did a crime of moral turpitude or violence that Sean showed you, you can't be released on bond. Or what we've been talking about in the court decision we've been reading, if you are seeking admission and were never admitted, you can't be released on bond. But let's say you were admitted. You were admitted on a visa, but now they're saying the visa's no good anymore, or you lied on the visa. You could be released on bond because you were admitted. You're not a 1225. You're in a 1226 and you don't qualify under 1225. So
These are different. Yeah.
It's not surplusage. 1226 is very, very broad. And 1225 is also broad, but is narrower than 1226.
Yes. 1225 is the guy who never got caught for 20 years. Great. This applies to him. 1226 is the guy who's been here for 20 years, but also got caught stealing a car or got caught, trying to kill someone. They are two different statutes. One of them applies to the guys who actually committed a crime and got caught. The other ones are when ICE just happens to come across them and find out. Those are the statutes operate differently because they address different concerns.
I mean, basically, nice try petitioners, but no dice.
Yeah. They say petitioners focus on 1226C as amended by the Lake and Riley Act. Why? They ask. Would Congress have seen? Also, they a need to specify certain aliens are ineligible for bond. If those aliens are subject to mandatory detention under 1225 B2A. And that's not at all what they're getting at here, because if you go to 1225B, and hold on here, B2, where is it at? Hold on here, chat. I gotta scroll. B2A. And they point out in the case of an alien who is an applicant for admission, if the examining officer determines the alien is not clearly and beyond a doubt to be entitled to be admitted, they shall be detained for proceedings. But it's because you're not a criminal in this situation. You may have been wrongfully, you had a wrongfully granted visa. You aren't entitled to be here. You have no rights, but you didn't commit a crime. They just found out you've been here and you were hiding, and we finally caught you. Sorry, you have bad luck. That's the difference. I'm sorry. When you don't say anything, it makes me sound like I'm acting like a retard. You're just like,
no. I was letting you say your thing.
Yeah. That's what they're getting at there. They're just pointing out there's a difference.
Yeah, and look, I don't want to spoil it because the court's going to say it next. But the Lincoln Riley Act. Sorry, I didn't want to make you feel like a retard, Sean. I thought I was giving you your airtime. No, the Lincoln Riley Act. It makes it so it does a lot of things. Like, I think one of the things it does is says not only does it say you can't get bond, it says you can't get parole.
Yeah,
like it did a lot of different work.
Yeah, and they point out that not only does it sweep in deportable aliens in addition to those inadmissible, it also eliminates the option of parole for those to whom it applies.
Yeah,
because the guy who murdered Lake and Riley got parole, and then if we covered that trial, if you haven't seen that trial, it is fucking tragic what happened. That guy that morning was like trying to get into another girl's dorm room in her apartment. And like he's like loitering around looking for her and waiting for her. And he sees Lake and Riley, jogging down the trail. And he's like, oh, I'll go for her instead. And he just quits this woman he's trying to probably rape and murder and goes and picks another one. It's fucking creepy when you watch it on video.
Insane.
It was. It was truly it was a fuck, like, just speaking of Lake and Riley, like, watching that video was just like, it truly was just because she'll do. And he was trying to go rape and murder somebody else in the meantime.
Like this I think, by the way, this last part is like such a incredible thing for the court to have to say, but this is the world we live in, so I don't want to spoil it.
Yes. And they say, as for the Lake and Riley Act, Congress passed the act at a time when the executive was still declining to exercise its full enforcement of authority. Accordingly, the act did have a substantial effect. When it passed, as it required detention without bond or parole of certain aliens that was then treating as bond eligible.
So, like, imagine this, right? Like, the petitioners are saying, hey, look at the Lincoln Riley Act. If everybody who's seeking admission is to be held without bond, then the Lincoln Riley Act doesn't really do anything because you're supposed to be holding them without bond anyway. And we don't want to interpret the law as Congress creating surplusage or something like this. And the court's saying, wait, hold on. The law was passed in 96.
Yeah.
Congress passed the Lincoln Riley Act because Biden wasn't enforcing the law.
Yes.
He wasn't enforcing it. So they passed the Lincoln Riley Act to force him to do it, at least for violent offenders, right? Like, if you're not going to do it in general, at least do it for the violent offenders. Now that they're enforcing the whole scope of the law, right? Okay, there might be an overlap, but that doesn't mean that Congress meant something different back in 1996. What do you think? The Congress has a time machine? Like, Congress passed this in 2025, the Lincoln Riley Act, because they were trying to force action because nothing was happening. That doesn't magically change what they wrote in 1996 if it wasn't amended directly, which it wasn't.
Oh, no, I agree. And Cecilia, he's saying Lakin. He's just, fast-talking lawyer.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, my bad.
He's saying Lakin. He's not saying Lincoln. I know he's not.
And if I was, I apologize.
Yeah, she was wearing her stovepipe hat.
Oh, Jesus. Let's not make those memes. Let's not make those memes. That's a dark road. That's a dark road to go down.
Yes.
Don't clip this. Don't make Lincoln memes. We don't need that.
Well, they wanted to pass the Lincoln Act after he got assassinated. They say the petitioners emphasize a passage in Jennings with the Supreme Court describes 1225B as applying to aliens seeking admission and applying 1226 to aliens already in the country. And they point out that this case cited Jennings versus Rodriguez. Yeah, it don't work. It don't work. They say first, it's part of a general description. The issues were whether the constitutional avoidance canon required, and that's where the court will try to avoid making a constitutional ruling if they could point to something else.
Yeah, and I'm kind of glad there's at least one Supreme Court case in here because it almost guarantees the court's going to take this case.
Yeah,
and I think the court, for the reasons we described, is going to very clearly side with the Fifth. So if there's a clarification they have to do as to one of their prior decisions, I think that increases the likelihood they take the case.
It does. And they point out that it required the government to grant periodic bond hearings to aliens facing prolonged detention. They say in determining that aliens lack statutory right to periodic bond hearings, the Jennings court did not opine on the difference of the authority. And they say at most the petitioners cite dicta, which is non-binding and merely just the musings and ramblings of the court.
Yeah, if it's not necessary for the logic of the decision, then it does not have binding effects.
They say second, the Jennings language does not refute the government's interpretation. It's true that 1226 applies to aliens. Did you want to read some too, Ryan? I didn't want you to.
I can take over. Yeah,
you want to a little bit. Yeah,
I don't want you to have all the fun of blowing your voice out. Yeah. It's true that Section 1226 applies to aliens in the United States. That it does so, however, does not preclude Section 1225 from also applying to such aliens. As the government acknowledges, the two provisions overlap. Accordingly, for petitioners to find support in Jennings, they must overread the Supreme Court's language. And I don't find it puzzling that there's a bit of an overlap between these two statutes. As we showed you guys, 1226 is very broad, And 1225 is also broad, but slightly narrower. And 1226 would apply in contexts like overstaying a visa, whereas 1225, according to the court, would not. So there's a difference in the language, and I think that's a meaningful difference. So I don't find this argument particularly strong. Even I've not read Jennings yet, but it doesn't seem like the language of Jennings possibly could say what they are hoping it says.
I don't think so either. I don't see how, and if it did mean what they said, there would have been already some attempt to attack it already. That would have been making its way through like the Ninth Circuit or something.
Yeah.
I mean, because if it really said what they wanted it to say, they would have attacked the Lake and Riley Act to kill it.
Yeah, on its face. Yeah. In particular, they seem to infer that when the Supreme Court specified that Section 1226 applies to aliens inside the United States, it implied that Section 1225 does not apply to such aliens. That's the seeking is the present tense verb argument. Yes. But this is the exact sort of language parsing inquiry that the Supreme Court has cautioned lower courts against. See National Park Council v. Ross. The language of opinion is not always to be parsed like the language of a statute. Yeah, I think that this is a thing that courts sometimes do where they really, really, really want, and I understand how this happens. If you've ever been a clerk for a judge or you've ever been a junior attorney in a law firm, sometimes there's motivated reasoning, right? Someone comes and they say, we need a case that says X so we can win, right? And
you're a pro se litigant, which is just a very common thing they do.
Yeah, your job is to find any case that has the magic words, but that the magic words taken out of context don't always mean what you think they mean. And look, no shade, lawyers do this all the time. I think we've all done it. We know that we're in the weaker side, and we just try to find anything we can throw at the wall to help our client. That's our job. Our job is to help our client, and we'll make any non-frivolous argument. But that doesn't mean you're right. That just means you're there to fight the good fight.
And here's an example of what he means, guys. He's saying, like, if it's Jennings Rodriguez, so here we go. You'd say, look, the Attorney General may release aliens in those categories, and you just, you might just cite this little bit, and you're going to go, ha, it's got what I need. You're just going to cite, the Attorney General may release aliens, quote unquote. Yeah. See, Judge, it says you may. And then there's, look at what else you've left out. You can say, look, see, it gives me what I want. That's basically what that's basically what's going on here.
Yeah, it's selective quotations that are, done in order to further an argument. And again, no shade. I get it, but like I find it very, very difficult to believe that Jennings is controlling.
Yes.
If it was controlling, then none of the immigration boards would have decided the way they did, etc.
Yes.
Also, if it was controlling, they would have started with Jennings instead of starting with the statute. So there's that. Even if this court should conduct a granular analysis of the language in Jennings, doing so supports the government's interpretation. In claiming that the Supreme Court's pronouncement that Section 1225 sub B applies to aliens who are seeking admission supports their interpretation, the petitioners inexplicably assume that the Supreme Court understood seeking admission in the same way that petitioners do. It demonstrably did not, which would make sense because nobody in their right mind would understand seeking admission in the way the petitioners do. Elsewhere in Jennings, the Supreme Court explained that Section 1225, oh wait, this is a direct quote. Section 1225 sub B applies to aliens seeking entry into the United States, open parens, quote, applicants for admission, close parens, in the language of the statute. Holy shit. Sorry, that's amazing. So Jennings said that seeking entry is the same as applicants for admission. Jennings, on its face, says that the petitioners are wrong about the only live issue, whether applicants are seeking. That's the whole case. And Jennings came out the other way. Okay. I mean, imagine trying to parse language when you have a quote like that.
Yeah, well, I mean, here's where they start talking about it. I say the process of decision generally begins at the nation's borders, where they must determine whether or not you're eligible to come in. They say, they point out that under 8 U.S.C. 1225, an alien who arrives in the U.S. or is present. I mean, the Supreme Court's not going to overturn themselves. Literally, here's your kill shot. Arrives in the United States or is present in this country but has not been admitted is treated as an applicant for admission.
Yeah, even if you are
Done.
not currently seeking,
Done.
if you are present, you are an applicant. Done.
You know?
Yeah, it's a lot of ink spilled over a very simple issue. But again, remember, this is if this changes, this policy of giving bond, this is the thing that makes immigration deportation slow, right? The bond, because it creates an incentive to drag the proceedings out. If you detain the illegal immigrants during their proceedings, they will self-deport in enormous numbers.
Yes.
It will make the process years faster in much cases.
And
right?
we can buy a property for cheap.
But Sean, seriously, imagine this, right? Imagine you're the lawyer, you're representing one of these clients, right? And you say,
get out now.
You're in the Fifth Circuit, right? They say, oh, well, can you drag this out for me? Can you drag? Yeah, I'm like, yeah, I could drag it out for you. But if I drag it out for you, you're going to be in jail for a year and a half. You're going to be detained. On the flip side, the federal government, if you're willing to go back to your country, the federal government will buy you a plane ticket and put $5,000 in your pocket. Be on your way, sir. So what do you want to do? Do you want to be free in your country with $5,000, or do you want to be in jail for a year and a half while I fight this and lose because you're here illegally? So I'm going to lose.
Yeah.
Right. Well, who picks jail? Who picks jail? No one.
Screenshot this if you guys need it for your argument. Screenshot that. This is in the Supreme Court's opinion. There you go. But I agree. And there are times where you tell people the cost of complying with the law is going to be greater than you're willing to put up with. Well, so I would not recommend you take this course of action.
And the reason the Trump administration has such low border crossings is because they understand that incentives are destiny. If there's an incentive to do something illegal, people will do things that are illegal. If there's incentives to do lawful things, they'll do lawful things. So this is all about the incentive structure. If you change the incentive structure, you change the entire immigration system. That's why I was saying at the beginning, I think this is this in terms of immigration, I think this is the biggest decision. If the Supreme Court takes this up and rules this way, it will change the immigration numbers at a rate you would not believe. The numbers of self-deports are going to spike. Yes. It'll be crazy.
Also, it turns people like Kilmar Abrego Garcia. Guess what? His ass goes back into custody too. All these people, their ass goes back into custody.
It's a huge deal. It's a huge deal. One someone in my chat said more than birthright citizenship. All right, maybe not more than that one.
This would be a massive blow to immigration.
But it would be, because it's not a constitutional case, it would be less significant. People wouldn't talk about this is a little bit more of a technical issue, whereas birthright citizenship is a big constitutional issue. It'll be in the news. But this one, man, it for those who are in the trenches practicing law, this is a seismic change.
Oh yeah, this is almost as effective as a change in birthright citizenship, because if you could just boot 36 million people and say, look, you can either, because it's not necessarily getting people at the border. It's going to be the guy who sat here for 20 years, build up his life, build a family. Buddy, go now. Get yourself out of here. Take your money and run.
Yeah. And look, self-deportation is such a win-win, right? The person who's here illegally, all right, you're not going to suffer any consequences. You get some money in your pocket. You get to go home. But for us, you got to pay the lawyers who are doing this. You got to pay to have, it takes taxpayer money to have a detention facility. You got to feed people. You got to give them medical care, right? The cost of housing someone in detention for a year is $1 million.
Yeah, they're finding vacant Walmarts and shopping malls to turn into holding facilities because there's going to be so many people.
That's what I'm saying. If you can deport somebody for $5,000 and a plane ticket, that saves the taxpayers $1 million, right? No joke. It's a huge deal. Yeah. So back to it. That language,
families don't get broken up. You get to keep your kids. You know, that's how you really get at them. Like, you're going to lose your house, but more importantly, you really want to be away from your kids because they're going to go somewhere else. They're not going to stay with you.
That's what. Yeah, I mean, that's what I mean about creating positive incentives. It's a win-win situation. Like for the person who's detained, it's a better outcome. For the American taxpayer, it's a better outcome. For the people who are trying to enforce immigration laws, it's a better outcome. It's literally just common sense. It works for everybody. The only people who would be opposed to it are people who are just trying to make the system break.
Yes.
Because it clearly is the right thing to do.
Yes, and in this house, we believe in Westphalian sovereignty.
All right, so that language from Jennings supports the government, obviously, as we pointed out, it obviously does. Applicants for admission are, according to the statute, seeking entry or admission because there's literally no other sane interpretation. And it suggests that when the Supreme Court described 1225 as applying to aliens seeking admission, it understood that to mean aliens who, like petitioners here, are present in the United States without admission. Obviously. Right? So, finding no persuasive support either from the text of Section 1225 or Jennings, the petitioners turn to government's longstanding practice. By the way, this is pounding the table territory.
Yeah.
If you're saying the history's wrong, the context wrong, the statute's wrong, Supreme Court case law, we lose. But the government's been doing it for 30 years.
We're arguing latches and waiver.
Yeah, you're really out of luck. They point out that the government has for 29 years allowed illegal resident aliens, those present without being admitted, to seek release on bond instead of detaining them. While this is true, the government's past practice has little to do with the statute's text. The text says what it says.
That's so brutal.
Yeah, the text says what it says, regardless of the decisions of prior administrations. By the way, the decisions of prior administrations were technically illegal, which is hilarious. I'm going to remind my friend Pisco of this the next time he says that he just wants the administration to follow the law. Well, like, follow the law. You got to detain them.
Following the law is when you want no exceptions for anybody. Like we're sticking with what's written down. It's like that ends up. You have to be careful because when you're the guy running around screaming, "No, I'm going to hold somebody's feet to the fire," it's like. Eventually you're going to get held, your feet are going to get held to the fire. And it's like, it's never fun.
Yeah, man. Turnabout is fair play, but also it's just so breathtakingly obvious that just because the government has not done the thing the statute says that you're supposed to do doesn't change the law.
Yes.
The law is the law, like clearly.
Yes.
So then C. Pereira, this is about practice. In
another Supreme Court case, chat.
Pereira, the court considered whether notices to appear for removal under 1229A had to specify the time and place of removal. Despite 21 years during which the government consistently served notices to appear that omitted time and place information, the court rejected the government's practice based on the text of Section 1229A, of course, because if the text is clear, government practice is not really a controlling. By the way, this is funny from the birthright citizenship perspective because that's the other place where they're arguing practice. But yeah, I mean, the practice is the practice, but if you get down to brass tacks, it's not legally binding.
Yeah, and here is what they show for what are the removal proceedings require. Okay, so the notice to appear. You have to be given written notice. You're like, okay, that makes sense. I need written notice of what you're doing. The nature of the proceedings. Yeah, we kind of need that. The legal authority under which they're being conducted. Yep. The acts alleged to be in violation. The charges against the alien. Yep. That's that due process stuff. That the alien may be represented by counsel. And that you'll be given a period of time to get counsel. And a current list of counsel prepared. Which that's actually unique because normally you don't get that when you're facing things. But they're saying, look, here's a list of immigration attorneys you can contact. Then further, under Section F, you have to get provided with the requirement that you must immediately provide the Attorney General with a written record of an address and telephone number. The requirement you must immediately provide any change of address, which I'm sure they always did. And it goes on here, but it says Part G. The time and the place which proceedings will be held. There you go. They have to do it. Well, we didn't do it before. It doesn't matter. What does the law say?
Yeah.
Once again, this is holding feet to the fire. Follow the law. All right. Well, there you go.
The
You don't follow the law.
Now,
Yeah.
one of your chatters asked an interesting question. They said, "Does Ben there done that?"
Does it mean that? Yes.
Well, I'm not sure. It might not. The reason I'm saying that is, I actually don't know his details, so maybe you can fill me in. The court made a distinction between people who are seeking admission and those who were admitted, right? And then had some kind of problem after they were admitted.
He was never granted anything. They just said, okay, well, you can't get sent back to El Salvador.
Oh, if he was never admitted, then I think...
Yeah, he was never admitted. He's not here under any sort of program or anything. It's just, like, it sounds like it's all the horse shit they did in the Obama years and Biden years of, like, just get the fuck out of here. Like, okay, fine, we won't send you back. He never really had anything established from what I've been able to determine.
Well, if he was never admitted,
I don't think he ever was.
Then yes, this would require that he not get bombed, right? So that's very interesting.
He goes back into a flare status.
Yeah, because what's his name? The kid from Colombia who was very pro Hamas. What was that guy's name again?
No. He's not from Colombia. He's
Yeah, I was talking about a different kid, the Colombia protester whose name I can't.
Oh yeah, Mahmoud Khalil. Sorry,
Mahmoud
I thought
Khalil.
you meant the kid from Colombia. I'm like,
no.
ARC supporter? No, Mahmoud Khalil.
Mahmoud Khalil, because, like, for example, he was admitted on a visa.
Yeah.
Right. So this would not apply to him.
No.
Were he detained again?
I mean, it depends. I mean, if you're talking for Hamas, you might be.
Oh yeah,
under that section of supporting terrorism. It's
okay, unless he falls into one of the exceptions. But just to give the example, earlier we said that 1226 was broader than 1225.
Yes.
He's not seeking admission because he was already admitted.
Yeah.
If the government sought to detain him, he would be an example of someone who's a 1226, but not a 1225. Though he might fall into other exceptions if there were other problems.
Yes.
The kid from Colombia. Yeah, I got to remember his name.
Yeah.
Okay, so blah, blah, blah. Regardless of the government's past practice and regardless of the Congress's silence on 1225B2A, the text controls. I mean, of course. In any event, that prior administrations decided to use less than their full enforcement authority under Section 1225B2A does not mean they lack the authority to do more. Indeed, the Federal Register suggests that past administrations recognized that IIRIA conferred more authority. Yeah, that's a hard one. Than they chose to exercise. Yeah, like the government didn't choose to use all of its power, but they have the power, and now they're choosing to use it. So what? What's wrong? Portions of the Federal Register produced in direct response to the enactment of the statute note that IRA extended the mandatory detention provisions to additional classes of inadmissible and deportable aliens, but provided an exception for certain witnesses. God, the history of this statute is so clear. Like,
yes,
everybody
acknowledged it.
Everybody was totally clear.
March 1997.
Yeah, when they wrote the damn thing.
Even the Clinton administration. Yes, codified at 8 CFR, Code of Federal Register, Part 1.
Everyone was totally clear what this meant, and the government just didn't do it. But it was clear what they were supposed to do. I guess what happened is old Bill didn't like it, and he didn't do it, and then it just never got picked up.
I'm sure at the time it was like, there's only like a couple million of them, and they're the heckin' nice immigrinos, and nobody wants to be mean. And then we had like George Bush saying, well, no child left behind, and we need to go fight wars for oil. There just wasn't a high priority. It wasn't part of the neocon agenda.
And the thing is, things like this actually do slip through the cracks sometimes. It sounds crazy to say, but we have so many laws that sometimes these niceties actually don't, people just don't notice.
Yeah. Oh, I have a client where he is a landlord in a certain city, and the city is like, they kind of were like looking around, they blew the space dust off the statute, and they're like, oh, wait, we could do like XYZ now. And they went out and started doing it, and we're like, wait, where the hell did you guys start doing this from? And they're like, read, you son of a bitch. And I'm like, where did that come from? You guys have never done it before. And they said, we could do it now.
Yeah, I mean that's what happened with the Alien Enemies Act, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, like
Yeah.
that.
We haven't used this since 1799. Okay, that doesn't mean we
Still,
can't use it. Yeah.
still the law.
Yeah.
Yeah. So almost immediately after that, the explanation goes on to acknowledge that despite being applicants for admission, aliens who are present without having been admitted or paroled will be eligible for bond redetermination.
Mhm.
Despite being applicants for admission, aliens who are present without having been admitted.
That's what they're saying. Despite all of that, we're going to allow
Yeah.
you to get bond. So
Oh,
notice
yeah,
they're
despite
pointing
that.
out that even though you are an applicant for admission, you're not entitled to it. We're going to just, we're going to be benevolent and let you violate the law.
Yeah, this language. Oh, you're exactly right, Sean. This language appears to concede that unadmitted aliens fell literally within the scope of 1225, even though other parts of the newly implemented regulations contemplating granting these aliens the possibility of release on bond. So the government, they looked at it and they said, well, previous administration said 1225 says this, but maybe other stats say this. We're gonna be nice about it, but that doesn't mean they don't have the power.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, it's very much, and as I've said before, Chad, don't put your faith in the benevolence of government officials to not enforce the law a certain way, because they can always change your mind.
Okay.
And you're very rarely going to get the, well, I relied on this to my detriment, absent very limited circumstances, and you're probably still not going to get it.
No, not often.
Yeah.
So, and I guess it goes on. There's even more. Oh, Erica, what a mod! Look at Erica just throwing it down.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes,
Yeah,
thank you, Wonderbread.
Please visit, and we've had so much crazy membership support that there may be memberships left. So if you sub, you might immediately get a membership.
Yes,
because
and then you too can make your you can post Pisco emojis.
Yeah, if you want to make the piss cry emoji, there's only one place to do it. Unless you follow, and if you don't follow Zero Fucks on Twitter or X, follow Zero Fucks because he just posted a bunch of them on X, which is hilarious. He actually posted the whole Pepe Frog range on X, so you can get a Pisco crying for every season if you want one.
Shadowlay.
Zero Fucks is Zero Fucks. You are a madman. You're an absolute madman for doing that.
Oh.
Indeed, an initial regulation still in effect today.
Which is important. It's still in effect.
Yeah. Expressly purported to apply mandatory detention under Section 1225 to unadmitted aliens who had remained present in the United States for several years. I mean, how much more clear could this be?
Yeah, and then they move on, and I can go for a minute here.
Yeah.
They point out that 8 CFR, notice, guys, the Code of Federal Regulations, the Federal Register. Remember, when you have the law, but then you need the regulations and the rules and the interpretation for an agency, you have to go to the CFR. Isn't that what CFR, Code of Federal Regulations, are?
Yeah.
CFR? Okay.
I'm pretty sure. I haven't looked it up.
Yeah, but anyways, it's not the Council on Foreign Relations, chat. Those people are evil in their own way. Not that CFR, but it's a Code of Federal Regulations. It's all the regulations for whatever law you're thinking about. So, for example, if you ever want to learn how the ATF interprets X, Y, or Z, or how they do like FFL licensing and all those different things, you could go to the regulations and read. You can read how the EPA handles things and how they interpret those laws that have charged to them, and they make the regulations. All that administrative stuff, the fourth branch of government, it's in here. It's in the CFR.
Mm-hmm.
So what are they saying? An alien who is not inspected and admitted or paroled, but who establishes that he or she is continuously physically present in the United States for the 2-year period immediately prior to the date of determination of admissibility shall be detained in accordance with Section 235 of the Immigration and Nationality Act, proceeding under Section 240 of the Act.
Yeah, so basically what they're
everybody's
saying
known this.
Like the law says it, and when they were codifying the regulations, everybody knew this power existed. If the power didn't exist, they couldn't cite it in the regulation.
This provision from 1997 looks no different from the interpretation in 2025. So it's literally been sitting there. There's been no notice of rulemaking or comment period. No, it's literally, we put this in.
I mean, it's just a power that was sitting there dormant.
Yeah.
But it's a critical power.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah.
This is what I mean sometimes about, like, sometimes with Trump's lawyers, I'm always like, you know, they mess up the Comey indictment, and I'm like, God, who are these people? And then sometimes they find a deep cut like this, and you're like, whoa,
Yeah.
that's a deep cut.
They're like,
Nobody's been
look
doing
at
it for
all
30 years, and it turns out you got this huge power.
Yeah, they're like a kid in the woods who finds a gun. They're like, look what I can do with this now. And then sometimes they just go around like, yeah, but other times they're like, look what I found, and it's just gold.
I really do think he's got two legal teams. There's like the clown team and the shark team. And sometimes you read it and you're like, it's the clowns wrote this one. And sometimes you're like, damn,
but also
the sharks wrote this one.
This is also the people who do immigration law that are on the right have been like, God damn it, if only we could get our way. And I'm sure somebody came to them from the Trump team and said, if you had carte blanche, what would you do if you were in charge of it? And you'd say, here's what I'd start doing. Bah, 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 bah. They probably already had it printed up and said, do this.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like
some deep cut research. They were, ready to go. I guess they just had to lose 350 times to get it to a circuit court.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of this is, I think it's just, they had their plan. It just, they haven't been able to enact it the way they want to. So,
yeah. I mean, I'm amazed. I think this is the first circuit court to rule on this issue. I haven't seen it otherwise.
Yes. I don't think anybody has yet. Steve Miller's autistic on immigration. He is.
I mean,
imagine, I didn't realize this, but he was like one of the biggest Duke lacrosse players, defenders.
Oh yeah.
Imagine if Duke lacrosse had never happened, he would have been off doing something else in life.
He's a very competent lawyer. Like he's
not a lawyer, is he?
Stephen Miller, I think he is.
I don't think he is, because
there's
sometimes he said some shit, and I'm like, buddy, that's not
I thought he was.
Let me see here. No,
he
just got his BA from Duke.
Okay, so he's just he's not so he's that actually makes your Chatter's comment even more prescient, right? He's not even a lawyer. He's just like doing hyper autism research, where you're just like, you've just been researching it for years and years. Okay, yes, he is. I'm not crazy.
Yeah. He said he wanted to be a lawyer, but he skipped his LSAT. I mean, this just screams like, he loves America more than, like, the way he tells this story here. It sounds like, you need the American flag in the background. He skipped his LSAT because he was focused on establishing a memorial for the September 11th attacks. It's like,
all right.
Brings a tear to your eye.
Yeah.
He loves America more than you do.
That's really funny. Okay, so he's just researching. He's not a lawyer. He's just an enthusiast about immigration law.
Yes. They say, in contrast to past administrations, the current administration has chosen to exercise a greater portion of its authority, treating them as the provision designed. It's like they're following the law.
Yeah.
You fuckers wanted the law to be followed, and now you're getting it.
Here you go.
You're getting all of it. You're gonna have to take it all now. God, when he said I was tired of winning, I'm not tired of this right now.
This is
the highs are so high, the lows are low, but the highs are so high.
I'm telling you, if they can get this to the Supreme Court, if you could get, I mean, it might take a year or two, but then you could have some like 2027 self-deport numbers that are crazy.
Oh God, and that'll just be like, that we will get President Vance. Oh, buddy. And it's kind of like, and I don't know if you listened to it, but did you listen to the Wolford v. Lopez case, the oral arguments for that?
Oh, I didn't have a chance. No.
Where Gorsuch is like, why is it that you guys want us to enforce the black codes and use that as like, binding authority here? Because we wouldn't be able to do it in any other context. And this is just,
oh shit, uncivil laws in the House. Did someone say Supreme Court? Yeah, man.
Howdy, Kurt.
Yeah.
Howdy.
Kurt, so
I'm gonna have to get you guys on together at some point.
Oh yeah, I'd love to collab with Uncivil. Kurt's an easier thing to say. So yeah, Kurt, what we were talking about is this decision seems like it's absolutely going up to the court.
Yes.
And, we were trying to read the tea leaves. We think this looks like a winning argument before the court, too. Like, this looks like a 7-2 worst 6-3 sort of, like a 6-3 sort of decision. So I don't know, Kurt, if you want to chime in on that, be delighted to hear your opinion. But I think this goes up for sure, because there's going to be at least one circuit that disagrees with this. I don't know, where it's going to be.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I'm sure we'll find a circuit. I'm surprised we haven't gotten the Ninth Circuit supporting an injunction against the Fifth Circuit. Like, I'm surprised that hasn't happened yet.
Yeah. And you know what? There's enough Supreme Court law cited in this case. They might take it before there's a split. Like, this is actually an interesting question. If you were the lawyers for petitioners, do you seek cert on this? Because, in theory, you could get cert and maybe you win and you can vindicate your client.
But then literally just fuck everybody in the country over.
Well, the odds of petitioners creating law that's bad for the immigration plaintiffs bar is very high.
Yes.
I always think that's interesting. Like, for a lawyer ethically, do you take the Hail Mary for your client and risk making bad law?
Yeah.
I would think it's good law, but bad law from their perspective. Or do you just stand down and say, this is not the time to pick that fight?
Yeah. And that's going to be a thing here, but I don't know. I mean, there's some people I follow on Twitter, and one of them is this guy Steve Vladek. He's kind of like, he cries about the shadow docket all the time. He's a professor at Georgetown, and he's like, oh, it's so bad, and he's like, this is so dangerous, and he says, like, look how he titles this: "The Fifth Circuit jumps the immigration detention shark." Why don't you just say, I just want them all here. And it says, 2 of the nation's most right-wing judges adopted an odious legal claim that district judges from across the country have overwhelmingly rejected it.
They're a circuit court.
Yeah.
They don't have to care.
If it's wrong, it's wrong. It doesn't matter. Like, it's Rousseauian. Well, a bunch of people said it's right, therefore it's never wrong.
Yeah. I mean, well, first of all, I'm a little bit offended. I mean, the phrase odious. Like I said, I'm not claiming I know her well, but like, Judge Jones is a member of the Federalist Society. She comes to events. I broke bread with her. She's a lovely woman, and she is an incredible patriot. And she cares deeply about this country. She is definitely right-wing, so he's correct in labeling her that way. But like,
how dare they follow the law?
Yes, saying that this is odious is like, that's a lot. I feel like
it's not even a lot. It's disgusting. It's repugnant.
Literally, the law says what it says. Like, I have found that her logic in writing this opinion has been dead on the whole time, right? Like, and by the way, like, for those of you who think like, oh, maybe you're watching this and you're like, oh, these guys, they're just cheerleading because they like this decision. Remember,
that too.
That too, but remember the last time I was on this show, we were reading that pile of garbage written by Alito and tearing it to shreds. And clearly, like, from a, if you're from a right-wing perspective, it would be easier to cheerlead Alito in that context. But it was a bad dissent.
Yeah.
And we're giving you our honest, straightforward opinion, as a matter of legal analysis. If it's a bad opinion, we'll tell you. That was a bad opinion. This is not a bad opinion. This has been dead on the money.
And I've told Chad on here before, I can't gas you up like that. It's not my job. I don't like doing that. I would never do it. And also, when it's time to cope and sneed, it's time to piss and shit about it, we'll cope and sneed and piss and shit about it. Right now, this is not. Now is a time to, like, we are stacking dubs right now in this opinion.
Yeah. By the way,
if it's bad, it's bad.
Uncivil, I just subbed to your channel because I realized with some embarrassment that I had not. Go sub to my channel and get a free membership, because the chat was incredibly generous tonight. So I'm sure if you sign up, you'll get one.
Yeah.
Oh,
That comes up the 23rd of this month, I think, doesn't it? Or March?
I haven't looked at the calendar.
Something got set soon.
Yeah, I really want to see those.
That one will be fire.
I would.
April 1st?
Really? Holy shit.
I have had a major. It's something I've done. I had a trial once get scheduled for April 1st, and I wrote a motion to continue. And I just said, Your Honor, that's not an appropriate day to hold a trial. And judge, he's like, and I was there later. I filed it, and a couple days later, the prosecutor was in there doing his thing, and I was there on another case. And I said, Judge, can we talk about this motion? And he said, yeah. He's like, you just don't like it. I'm like, Judge, it's April Fool's Day. I think you're taunting the fates by holding a trial where a man's life is going to be at stake and holding an April Fool's Day. And he says, I understand that's what you're saying, but I said, I just don't think that's proper. Like any other day of the year. I've had trials on Halloween. I've had trials every other day of the year. I don't want to hold a trial on April Fool's Day. I just don't think it's proper. I think it's just, it's a really, really bad feeling. It doesn't sit well with me. And I'm not going to lie to you and say I got a reason, but I mean, if I I'll go schedule a tooth cleaning if I have to. And he's like, then he looked at the prosecutor's like, they kind of had he's like, I'm going to convict him whatever day of the week we do this. So we pushed it to the next week. And it was it was still 3 months out, but I was like, we can't do this. This is not a good thing.
The jury finds you innocent. April Fools, go to jail.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. It's superstitious. I mean, it's not superstition. It's just read the Greek plays out there. Read Aristophanes, read Aeschylus. You don't tempt the fucking fates. The fates love nothing more than the felt people. They detest hubris. You don't do that stuff. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. My conviction was April 1st. It doesn't count. But yeah, you can't do it. You can't do it.
So circling back to the oral argument thing, because Kurt, I also, Kurt, I would love to see that in person. It's not that easy to get in person, so I'm torn on it.
Are you admitted to the bar?
To the Supreme Court?
Yeah.
Sadly, I'm not. When I did the Supreme Court case, I didn't get admitted to the bar in part because it was during COVID. So when you get admitted, you get a guaranteed seat.
Yes.
Right. But it was during COVID. So there was no entrance. Everything was remote. No. So it didn't seem like that was the time to do it. So I was keeping my powder dry because I figured, if I ever get to do another case, I'd like to be able to
can you pro hoc into the Supreme Court? Or they just we're not doing that?
No, you have to have a pending case and you have to be a member of the bar in, I forgot how many years it is, but you have to be a member of the bar for a few years.
So you can't they don't pro hoc you. They'll just fast track you getting in.
Well, there's a particular bar application for them that you have to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're not going to pro hoc you. And then,
so that's what I mean. If I take a case right now and I run it all the way through Ohio and Supreme Court, it's actually, we want that one.
You got to join the bar. But the thing about joining the bar, this is why I'm not a member of the Supreme Court bar yet, is because when on the day of you do the ceremony, you can go see the arguments. So what a lot of people do is they time joining the bar for a case they want to see. Right. So if I had a case before the Supreme Court this year and I don't, I could guarantee a seat at birthright citizenship if I just got barred that day.
Okay.
Right. So, it's anyway, it's a little
you trick, have to go there too, don't you, to get sworn
you have to go in person. Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
But of course I wasn't going to do that because it was during COVID and there was no in-person argument to hear. So, but anyway, I kind of regret it now because I'd like to say I was a member of the Supreme Court bar, even because my name's on a Supreme Court brief, but I'm not a member of the Supreme Court bar, sadly. Anyway, moving. Oh, is it your turn or my turn? Whose turn is it?
I can go for a little bit here.
Right.
But yeah, Chad, like I said, in the court moved that I will not I'll have hearings on April 1st. Even then, it's really tough because I have clients are you joking? And I'm like, no, literally, you have to be in fucking court on April 1st. It's really it's a dangerous day to have court. I feel like court should close that day.
It's
really, they should. It's a bad idea. It says, move beyond the government's past practice. The petitioners turn to the statute's history for support. And they say, when Congress passed the law, it estimated the detention would require detention of 45,000 new immigrants.
You see that pro move where he said the law instead of trying to do the unpronounceable acronym? That's a pro streamer move. Look at that.
It would require the detention of 45,000 new immigrants. Well, you might want to add add a 1 and 2 zeros to this somewhere.
Yeah, now these days, yeah.
Yes. Supposedly Congress is worried about insufficient detention capacity. Oh, we took care of that.
We got it now.
It included a provision that permitted delaying implementation for 2 years. Well, by my watch, we're past that point. They say it said it didn't include similar provisions there, and it would require detention of far fewer than 45,000 aliens. And they said in 1997, there were about 2 million aliens who entered the U.S. without inspection were present in 1996, which is wrong, and it was wrong back then. And it's a lot more now. Said, according to the petitioners, Congress would have deferred implementation if it truly required the detention of a broad set of new immigrants.
Boy, that's a creative argument.
Yeah, I mean, maybe
that is creative.
It's kind of like Mark Randazza when he was pointing out the whole FACE Act. The Democrats, when they put in there, yeah, sure, whatever, you can't obstruct the church. They're like, they sat there and were like in their room looking at themselves like, there's no way anybody would be that big of a fucking asshole or that retarded to go run up in a church and fuck with everybody. They said there's no way in hell that happens. Give them something that's never going to happen. We'll give you that concession because it's never going to be needed. I'm sure that's what they thought in 1994. Little did they know.
Yeah, it is that's 100% right because it basically was never used. Like I don't think
here
for churches it was never used.
Maybe the Republicans and the Democrats thought like, oh, we won't have that many people we'll deal with. Oh well.
But as to this argument,
yeah.
I called it creative. I didn't really mean that as a compliment, but like it's creative, but it's also like, it's one thing to talk about what the text says, and then you make textual arguments. This is getting into the realm of like
legislative history.
Well, like imagine what a congressman would have been thinking when they did X. Don't you think they also would have been thinking when they said Y? And isn't it convenient that the imaginary Congress people I'm conjuring all agree with me?
Yeah.
Like, isn't it very
there's
convenient,
that too.
Right?
But even if that was the case and they didn't fathom this happening. Oops. I'm sure that they would have also not fathomed an immigrant caravan coming up to the border and just being allowed to disappear into the interior of the country.
Yeah, it's just there's a certain level
the reasonable
of
congressman standard.
Yeah, and at a certain point when you're doing like these kind of like intent-based exercises, it just becomes navel gazing. Like honestly, like. Okay, they have 1226, which we saw was the broadest version, and 1225 was narrower. And with 1226, they were worried about it, so they put in a provision deferring. And in 1225, they weren't as worried because it's narrower. Why did Congress make that decision? I don't know that it's possible to figure that out. Like, who knows? I don't know.
And let's just say that they're correct. Then Congress should fix it.
Yeah, so what?
That's law.
But like they're saying like, oh, because Congress made a judgment that this was needed under 6, but not under 5.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying if
Congress could have meant a lot of things by that.
Yeah, and let's say they have the legislative history where it was talked about like this, then you better fix the fucking law because it doesn't work that way.
Yeah, I mean, look,
they didn't set it up that way.
It's just a speculative argument. It's creative. Yes. I'll give them credit for that, but it's speculative.
Yes. And they say the court declines to speculate like Congress may or may not have deferred implementation.
Me and Judge Jones.
Yeah. It's never the court's job to rewrite statutory text under the banner of speculation about what Congress might have done. And that's the point. Well, we didn't mean this to be like that.
Yeah.
Well, it's how the hell am I supposed to figure that out? You should fix it. There's a way to fix this. Get Congress to fix it.
Well, and this is actually
Well,
really
we don't have power right now in Congress. Too fucking bad then.
yeah, fix it later. Look, and this is important because if judges get to speculate
Mhm.
about what Congress might have meant and then say that what Congress might have meant on their speculation
Mhm.
overrides the plain text of the statute, then judges just get to rewrite any law they want.
Yes.
The law
Yes.
could say Spot must run, and they're like, well, I think Congress meant that Spot should sit. I think if you look at the intent, Spot should be sitting. And like, it can't be the case that judges can just override plain
every
text
single
with
law.
speculative
Every
meaning.
single law they don't
No.
like. You know,
No,
like
they're-
I don't think that was a shall detain. It was a may detain.
They're not kings, right?
Yeah.
That's not.
Well, that's hey, well, you know, we have we have that thing about no kings, so. But you know, I'm sure there'll be an injunction for that at some point. But it says
One of
Congress
these
could
days.
have declined implementation for any number of reasons, and reading a congressional omission provides little insight, if any, meaning into the clear text. And that's the thing. How do you infer something that doesn't exist if there's no evidence to support it?
Yeah, it's just this is like Scalia said.
Mhm.
You know, I love when people make this kind of argument. They're either looking at their navel or they're looking up above them because they're just imagining the reasonable congressman and conjuring, as Zero Fuck said, you know, what they might have said. And it turns out, yeah, the reasonable congressman always agrees with me. What a coincidence. Like, it's pure navel gazing and speculation.
And they point out the predominant goal of this law is to eliminate the exclusion deportation dichotomy. And it puts all aliens on equal footing. It's an equal protection argument.
Yeah.
We want to have fairness in the law.
And if we're not going to have fairness, we certainly don't want to treat people better because they did the wrong thing, which is what the law used to do, which it fixed.
Yeah. And it seems strange to suggest that Congress would have preserved bond hearings exclusively for unlawful entrants. And they said preserving this distinction is especially odd when the DOJ Inspector General found in 1997 that when aliens are released, nearly 90% abscond, meaning they don't come back and are not removed from the United States. Shocker, I know. Nobody wants to get deported.
Well, Sean, this is the point you made at the very beginning of this. You were saying, like, when you find somebody who's been here illegally and has been avoiding detection, they're a huge flight risk. A huge flight risk, of course. And like, this is 97.
This is
when
being
they
an FTA is okay.
Yeah.
Yes, imagine that. People who have histories of failures to appear and history of absconding. Fucking abscond! You're like...
Weird.
Wow. It's like The Simpsons. Oh, they'll be back.
Like,
Any minute now.
Can you imagine the hearing? It's like, oh, well, Your Honor, my judge has no factors that would show that they're a flight risk. And the other side's like, well, what about the last 15 years where they've been fleeing? It's like, oh, well, we don't count that.
Yeah.
That's not that they're not a flight risk because they've been fleeing. That's crazy.
But I've also had cases where I fought and clawed to get somebody bond or a lower bond or maybe a recognizance bond. And then you're like, all right, counsel, we'll see you at the pretrial. And you show up at the pretrial and you're sitting there and the judge is like, they didn't come today. I'm like, nope. You're like, you don't seem shocked. I'm like, I remember one time I asked the judge, I'm like, are you? And she's like, nope. It happens. It happens.
That's got to be you got to keep your face real straight in that scenario because that couldn't feel good.
Well, I didn't matter. I convinced the judge to let it. Like, I sweet dicked my way through that bond hearing. I did my job.
You did your job, and that's the thing. Lawyers,
I did my job. My client didn't do his job.
And that's important to note. Like, lawyers are not there representing themselves; they're representing.
Yes. Although, from what I heard, this guy he escaped to Puerto Rico, where he's from, and like you're kind of like down there on your own at that point. And anyways, he says that situation exists today on a much larger scale. Yes,
it sure does. The
fears about potential abuse of detention removal proceedings are wholly speculative. Well, there is a lot of abuse of these, but yeah. And they point out there's another case here. Zadavidas versus Davis. This is another big immigration case. We saw covering other stuff. Had no direct application to aliens who are being detained and being given due process. And they say ultimately because Congress' purposes matters far less than what it wrote. This argument merely confirms what the statutory text already makes clear.
Boom.
And it's been the orders of the 2 district courts are reversed, meaning these guys don't get habeas, but they're still out. So, like, can you go yank them off the street right now?
You sure could.
And the case is remanded for further proceedings consistent with his opinion.
Look, this is I mean, the dissent's like 20 more pages.
I know it's 20 pages of read.
Yeah, I don't think we need
not fair.
I don't think we need to do that because she already popped the balloon on all the arguments.
Yeah,
but like, look, I think this is birthright citizenship obviously is like my pet issue.
I do love this. I do love this. In some, the government's proposed reading the statute would mean that for immigration detention, the border's now everywhere. Yes, when you are here illegally, everywhere is illegal. I mean, like when you cross into when the floor is lava, yes, it's lava everywhere.
But also,
you are not allowed to be here the whole time. It's like if you have it's like when you're playing a video game, you're going the wrong way down the road. It's flashing wrong way, wrong. Like you're whoop, 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 whoop. Yes, you are illegal the whole time.
But I mean, let's really think about what he's saying. He's saying, like, okay, for the purpose of immigration detention, the border is now everywhere. Well, what's the alternative? The alternative is if you sneak past the border and get into the country, then you have now earned better treatment under the law. Yes. Right? Like the law is set up to reward you. Like, oh yes, good job sneaking past the border. You've made it far enough in the Frogger game. Now you get the reward screen.
Yes.
Like, what the fuck
you
are
made
we
the
talking
checkpoint.
about?
You can't go any further back than this point. No, it doesn't work. Yeah, I mean the entire border. Yes, it's just like if I have a nationwide warrant out for my arrest, everywhere is the state of Ohio. Yes, yes, it is. That's how this works. You are subject to arrest at any point in time.
And also, I can't think of a situation under the law that works that way. Like, if you don't pay your taxes and you get away with it for like 5 years and then they find you, you don't get like a gold star. You get mounting penalties. Yes. Like if you evade arrest for 5 years. Real quick,
hold on about the taxing chat. Always talk about the first time penalty forgiveness program because that is a thing that exists and they can forgive penalties to a certain extent. Yes, it's a real thing. You have to ask for it and you can't, if you don't ask for it, they don't do it.
That's worth knowing. Sorry.
But
I mean, this is the law never treats you better for attempts to evade the law.
Yes.
Attempts to evade the law are actually the thing that makes the law treat you worse. And of course, the system's set up that way because that's how incentives work. If you
violate the law.
Yeah, if you get a gold star for violating the law, then you're going to get a lot of lawbreakers. If you get a smack when you violate the law, you're going to get less lawbreakers. It's not complicated.
Yeah, and Rusty, I've actually had clients do this. Well, I made it to my driveway. They can't tell me to stay with my car. I parked and walked away. No, that's not how that works. That's not how that works. But I've had people make that argument. But yes, this idea that the border's not everywhere. Yes, it is. Enforcement is everywhere. You're not like there's no magic to that where you're not entitled to
well, you also like really think about that. He's saying if you evaded the border and you've been in the country for a long time and you've evaded immigration authority, you should be more likely to be granted bond because of your documented history of fleeing government authorities.
Exactly.
Like, that's an unbelievably silly argument. Oh shit. Zero fuck. Oh no. Zero fucks has gone
traveling your driveway.
He's gone full sovereign citizen. Yeah, you're right, Zero fucks. Sorry. Under Admiralty law, if you say that you're traveling instead of driving, then laws don't apply to you. Well done, Zero fucks. I have promised my members that I will at some point do a members only stream where we just watch sovereign citizen fails in different court proceedings.
Oh, those are great. I've dealt with them a bunch before.
It's rough, man.
I love their lore. It's so much fun to read and learn.
It's one of those things where you read it and like you start, you're like, okay, so this leads to that. You start connecting the dots, and then at a certain point you have to go, But yeah, all that's bullshit. Like you can connect all the dots you want, but none of it's true. So it has that problem.
Yes, but they are beautiful. They are beautiful to do.
When I was clerking, we had one sovereign case, and I was so confused. I didn't know what was happening. I showed it to the judge, and he explained to me what the problem was, because I was reading the complaint, and they were like, as a result of it was a section 1983, so it's an alleged police misconduct, and they wrote on the bottom, like, in their prayer for relief, they wrote, we wanted 752 units of gold and silver. And I was like, what the fuck? like normally you ask for dollars, but they wanted units of gold and silver. And I was like, I have no idea what's happening. That was what triggered me to ask the judge.
Oh,
like, off here. And he was like, oh yeah, that's a sovereign citizen.
Oh no, there's a bunch of them. Like I've dealt with, like, I've been appointed as like standby counsel for sovereigns before. That's always fun.
Oh.
And
so you're the one sitting in the back when the sovereign says, like, I don't need a lawyer, and the judge is like, please God, let the lawyer talk, and that's you in the back of the courtroom?
Yeah, and I sat there through a trial, and the guy ran his trial, and he's like, do you think this is good? I'm like, because he'd come to me like, can I ask this? Can I ask that? I'm like, please don't ask that. And he did, and he just stomped all over his dick up on the court, and it's like, no, I've done it before. I've also dealt with Moors. Those are the black sovereign citizens. Those guys are even crazier.
The funny thing about that is that the sovereign citizen movement started as a white supremacist movement. And now it has this offshoot that is exclusively black, which it's like only in America can a white supremacist movement become a blacks only movement and maintain its core ideology. It's fascinating. Uncivil. If you're a judge, it's a funny dance. You can't hold them in contempt just for showing up, but they're going to be held in contempt. And you can see judges do this, because the judges will just say, like, all right, you've told me that you have a right to travel, and that's why you don't need a driver's license, because the laws of the state don't apply to you. I am ruling against you now. You lose. Appeal it if you want. But if you keep telling me that you object, if you keep telling me about your right to travel, I'm going to start holding you in contempt. And some judges, you can find them on YouTube. They're real funny about it. They'll be like, it's $100 every time you object to this from now on, because, like, I've ruled already. You can't.
Yeah, but I think that's unconstitutional. It's $100 if you object. I think that's actually.
Ooh, why?
Well, I'm allowed to keep objecting if I think it's wrong.
Well, no, after he's ruled.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Your Honor, I object. I don't think that's a correct ruling. Now, you could hold me in contempt, but I don't think you could find somebody if they're like, I think you're wrong, Your Honor. Not like that's. I don't think that's legal.
Sure, but can you just stand there and you just keep objecting and you never get to any other issues in court?
I mean, well, at some point, I think the court could say we're moving along, and you could hold them in contempt, but I don't think you could start fining them. I think just the contempt is, that's been addressed. We're moving on.
See, I think you probably can't, because if you ever watch these, what they fucking do is they'll be like,
I know.
They'll be like, I know. You lose on this, and they'll be like, I object to you saying I lose, and he's like, object all you want, but you can't object anymore. You can appeal.
I object to the objection.
You can appeal, but you can't object, right? And it's like, and then they're like, no, I object to you saying I can't object. He's like, no, like the issue is over. It's like, I object to the issue.
I understand. It's like a little child. There's no answer that will suffice.
Well,
guys, if you're wondering about the IRS thing, it's Form 843. You can request abatements, and you can get abatements of certain taxes, interest, penalties, fees. So like if you fail to file, different things like that, they can wipe it out. And it's generally if you had a clean record, but also if it's been more than like 3 or 4 years, you can also circle back to that too. So keep that in mind, Chad, if you fuck around with your taxes.
Maybe look, man, like some of the judges I've practiced before, like I don't know if you know his reputation, but like Judge Rakoff in the Southern District of New York, like, the kind of lore in the Southern District is it's like, if you're doing something objectionable, like or like an ethical or contempt sort of problem, like leave your wallet on his desk on the way out. Because
Yeah.
like that dude will light you up like a Christmas
Yes.
tree. Like he will drop the hammer on people. So it's like, like, and the idea that you would tell a judge like that, I object to your ruling. It's like not in that way, like that. Oh my God,
Your Honor,
like,
can I
these
object?
judges would tee you up.
Yeah,
I mean, they might not fine you, but you spend the night in jail.
Yeah,
like,
well, yeah, and there's a Your Honor, I'd like to. Can I have my objection noted for the record?
oh,
And the
that's
judge,
fine.
that judge have been like, okay, cool.
Yeah,
But if
that's
you're
fine,
like, Your Honor,
totally
I
fine.
object. It's like,
or you keep objecting. I got one. She's not a sovereign citizen, but she's just, I don't know what her deal is, but she does this thing. This is like deep cut legal lore, but like for those of you who like legal stuff, I pro hoc in to this case, right? And pro hoc motions are always granted if you file them correctly. It's really just about paying the fee and filing correctly. Like they're not, these are not like actual motions, right? She objected to my pro hoc, right? Which is unheard of. Like nobody objects to a pro hoc. You all like it's a wild thing to do. Oh, you gonna hold it in? Yeah. So she objects to my pro hoc. Then the judge grants my pro hoc. She moves for reconsideration of the pro hoc and demands a hearing. So we had to have a hearing on her motion for reconsideration, which is of course nonsense. And at a certain point, she hasn't crossed the line yet, but at a certain point, you got to be like, you're just wasting the court's time. Like, what are we even doing here?
No, it's that is interesting that she objected, but I will say it's I have dealt with that said though, when you deal with the proceedings, it can be a lot of fun there. Oh yeah, and you missed the guy who ran over all the people in the parade a couple years ago in Wisconsin. His name was Daryl Brooks. He objected to everything, and every time there was an objection, he'd be like, "Rounds." Every time there was an objection, and after a while, he took all his boxes of banker boxes of files. And he made like a little fort, and he just sat behind it. And the judge is like, "We're gonna disassemble that," and they took them all away. Oh, it was great. It was great.
Oh my God. It's so terrible. Look, you have a right to be pro se. There's situations where people go pro se, but I'm telling you, I'm not, like, it's not even like a lawyer thing. Like if you have never worked a trial, you should not be first chairing a trial. Like you need to have seen it a few times.
Yes.
You need to have like been in the courtroom and observed it. There's a lot of rules to the road that you will not know if you haven't seen it. I would be like
100%.
I'm not even like I'm a trial lawyer, and if I was in Ohio, I would be super uncomfortable unless I had someone like Sean to like sitting next to me to be like, no, in this court they do it like this, because there's so much differences between the court. And if you show, especially like for me as like a New York lawyer, if you show up and the court reads you like out of town big shot,
everybody
about
you
the
can
local
smell
rules,
it from different parts of the state.
They will fuck you up. You need a local lawyer who's gonna make sure you don't step on rakes, because it can get bad.
Well, and I don't know if you've seen, did you ever watch The People versus O.J. Simpson?
Yeah.
So did you see the part where like Johnny Cochran, they're going down to get the tapes out of South Carolina? And Johnny Cochran steps up and starts talking, but then F. Lee Bailey gets up and he's like, I'm just reminded of the winsome meadows of the Palmetto State. And he sits there and just jerks them off for like 2 minutes and they get what they want. And it's like, yes, you have to, like, there is something to be said about what you're trying to do. And even in Ohio, I remember because I was in Toledo, and that's way over on the western end of the state. And the way you come into the court there and you talk about things, or you do certain things, you do it. And the way you would waive the reading the indictment, we acknowledge receipt of it. We have its reading of court, way defects, time, place, manner, service, blah, 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 blah. An attorney showed up. Nobody had ever seen him before. And he starts talking, and he's also sitting at the table instead of standing up. And, people were like, who the fuck is this guy? And we looked, and he's like, oh, he's from Cleveland. Like, he's completely like out of his element there. Like, he said all the things and did the right stuff, but not the way you do it in that area. And it's, you can tell when people are not in certain places. And I remember there's a judge I'd been in front of when I first started practicing. He was big on, if you didn't stand up, you'd start talking and he'd just go like this.
Yeah.
And, he would stop you. And it all depends where you go. Yeah. And what would work in a trial in front of people in New York City is not going to work, necessarily in rural Ohio in the same way front to back.
Oh, and you got to have somebody to set you straight too. Like
Yeah.
a partner I work for, he's a brilliant lawyer, and like as a trial attorney, he's just a dynamo. Like the guy's a magician.
Mhm.
But he tells this story to prove that your point, Sean, about when he was a younger lawyer, right? He had been practicing for a few years. He had some money now. He was a big shot. He's going to do one of his first trials in private practice. He had done so as an AUSA, but he first trial in private practice, and he's in I think it's like in like the not Chicago, like kind of like rural areas around Chicago.
Yeah.
Right. And they're doing a trial there, and it's real blue collar farmer heavy jury.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And the guy he's litigating against is a seasoned trial lawyer, but also more local than him, and he doesn't have great local counsel to kind of like steer out of the skid.
Mm-hmm.
So he stands up and he does his opening, and he's got this big, beautiful gold Rolex on, right? And this beautiful suit, right? Like
highfalutin city lawyer,
New York City lawyer, right? The defense attorney, local guy, stands up, looks at the jury, looks at my old boss, and goes, "Nice watch," and then starts his opening.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, "Holy shit, I just lost the case."
Yeah,
like I lost the case on minute 1. Because like now I'm like this fucking outsider who's coming down here to try to tell them what to do.
I may be a simple country lawyer.
I mean, seriously, like there's something to that. Like jury trials are different. Like it's an optics war, and if you come in and you look like like people smell a rat on you, you're done. You're
if you
just
come
done.
in acting like a big jack off, like. Juries don't like that. They don't like people who look like jackoffs. No. And it's sales. And I told people this. It's sales. You're going to buy the car from the guy who kind of relates to you. You're going to buy from the guy who looks like a big jackoff.
Yeah. And it's totally different. Like when you're going before a judge, you can make real technical legal arguments. Mm-hmm. You can do this grounds.
Yes. Yeah. Well, yeah. My cousin Vinny's a good example. 2 Utes.
God, that movie's so good.
Yeah,
that's no time.
You're right, though. You can kind of get away with a little more with the judge, but still, there's going to be some limits.
Well, there's going to be some limits, and also there's going to be like the judge is going to be less. Like the watch isn't going to bother the judge, but the judge is going to be mad if you don't know the local rules, if you don't know the local customs and practices.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I said that the local rules can make you or break you, and courts. And if you don't know, like if I get retained tomorrow to take a case in a county I've never been to, I'll take the local rules, I'll read them, I'll call down there and say, is there anything I need to know? How, what's this, what's that? If I know some of you practice in that area, how does it work? Because the court will like that. You've gone out of your way to say, like, if when the judge walks in, if the judge walks in, everybody's supposed to go hooty hoo. If you do that, he's going to be like, awesome. You know the rules, man. Like in that little bit, you'll need every little bit of it. You need every one. You need every little of those little bits.
Well, and there's all kinds of stuff. Like, like I remember I did one case where it was like local counsel was like, look, man, like they got a filing cutoff of 6 p.m., but their servers are slow. If you don't start filing your motions by 4, you're going to miss the deadline. Like it takes hours to upload to these servers. Yeah. Like, because you know what? Like if I didn't get that advice from local counsel, and if I just like started uploading it like 5:58, and then they're like, you missed the deadline. They're not going to be like, oh, well, whatever. You missed the deadline.
I didn't know.
2 hours. I didn't know better. It's like, well, why didn't you know better?
Yeah. Why'd you wait till the last minute is what they're going to say.
Because as a lawyer, you can never say, I didn't know what the rule was. Like you're supposed to know what the rule is. That's your job.
Yes.
So
and
like,
even if something like that's an unknown rule.
Yeah. You got to be on it. So this stuff is like, this can make or break cases. It's a big deal.
Mm-hmm. Let's see here. I can't imagine being prepared on Sunday for Monday. Not being prepared on Sunday for Monday. I mean, I don't know. It's called the Sunday Scaries for a reason.
Depends what's happening Monday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm way into that Greek stuff. Read the classics, man. It's good for you.
Not
Read
sure
the
that's what he
classics.
meant.
What's that?
Not sure that's what he meant.
Oh.
Sean likes it Greek.
I'm trying to. Sometimes I don't pick up on social cues. Sula's been a member for 22 months. Says shouldn't have listed quotas / allowed sanctuaries. Yeah. Imagine if we had just followed the fucking law for the past 30 years. How might this have been different?
Also, I mean, God, like it's so funny how like everyone's freaking out, but like when Tom Homan came into Minnesota, he made the most obvious point ever, which is like Minnesota has started to cooperate more.
Yes.
So now we need less boots on the ground.
And remember, they've been screaming about Tom Homan being a Nazi for how long, and now they're like okay with him.
He's the most reasonable dude. And also, like, it's so common sense, right? Like, if we're passing off deportees from jail under law, they're handcuffed. It's a smooth transfer. That you only need 1 or 2 agents per deportee, and you have 0 interactions with the signal crowd, right? So it reduces the conflict in the streets. It makes deportation smoother, and it takes people out of Minnesota jails who were going to be put up on taxpayer dime.
Yeah.
So like it's like the definition of a win-win.
Yes. But they didn't want it. And it's funny because there's all these groups that are still like, Metro Surge is still going. It's like, yes, it's not ending. It's never going to end. And yeah, Tom Homan's been around forever. But remember, they've treated him like he's scum of the earth since the first Trump administration. But notice now that he's not Greg Bovino, this is part of the whole Trump strategy of, okay, fine, I'll give you somebody who's a bigger fucking asshole than Tom Homan. It's like, okay, we'll take the other guy instead who wears a suit.
Yeah, and I mean, look, you don't have to like Tom Homan. Like, I was trying to explain this. You don't even have to like Trump or trust him. I think you can just say the administration has offered to not eliminate, but reduce boots on the ground, not eliminate, reduce if you cooperate more. And that doesn't require any trust. You start cooperating, they reduce boots on the ground. If they don't reduce boots on the ground, you could stop cooperating. And if you don't cooperate, they can increase boots on the ground. No trust required. It's just a win-win. And because it's a win-win, it's a good deal. And Minnesota should take it, and the Trump administration should take it. It's a good deal.
Yes. Yeah, and it's like we could have done this from the start. Give us and all they did was agree to what was being asked for from the start.
Yeah, and
look,
and
that's the thing. How big of a stick had you have been hit with where Tom Homan's the more palpable option?
Facts.
Yes, I mean, yes.
But look, I think ultimately we need to understand that like the whole point, and I think this has been exposed now, but the point of the sanctuary movement is not to make the federal government do immigration law. It's to make immigration law impossible to enforce.
Yes.
And that's why, the conflicts between the protesters and immigration enforcement is not an accident. It's the design of the policy, right? Like the lack of cooperation leads to the protests, leads to the enforcement, leads to the friction, leads to incidents, and then the incidents create PR for a movement. It's like honestly the parallel I'm drawing is to like Hamas, where it's like they benefit from acts of violence and then they try to instigate acts of violence. It's there's
something, Ryan. I don't mean to get all Fed posty for you, but here there's an actual thing, and it was this has been created many moons ago by the wonderful men that operate out of Fort Bragg, North Carolina, as part of the John F. Kennedy Special Warfare School, in connection with the Rand Corporation and whatnot. And it's this. It is the building of a revolutionary movement.
Oh.
And the neat thing is there are below surface operations and underground stuff. But if you read it, you're like, okay, well, this stuff's happening. And these happen all the time in different levels. But, like you penetrate labor unions and students and national organizations. You recruit fellow travelers. You expand front organizations. There are overt and covert pressures against the government. You try to sabotage and demonstrate weakness of the government. We had an Antifa cell try to shoot up an ICE facility last year. You have, violence, you have sapping of morale. And it's just all these things go on. You infiltration by, foreign communist agents. And yes, and they say increased agitation, unrest, dissatisfaction, forming favorable public opinion, creating distrust of established institutions. I mean, notice these things are all happening at the same time as things start going. But it's just these are more and more, and as you go and go and go and go and go. And yes, you have people running checkpoints. And when you're running checkpoints, like those checkpoints in Minneapolis are armed. Whether or not you know that or not, they're armed. And that is the first step of a minor guerrilla action that we control this piece of territory. Now, they may run away when the cops show up, or they may cede it right away. But for those couple hours, they controlled the intersection and nobody stopped them. And then they control a little more.
The irony of that, right? Where because they're upset that ICE is asking people for their papers, they set up a checkpoint and ask people for their papers.
Oh, they have papers. They have border enforcement.
Yeah,
they do. Well, it's just like what happened in Seattle. They didn't like the police because the police were wrongfully killing black people. So they started their own police who wrongfully murdered 2 black men. And one of them was actually a 16-year-old black kid who the city of Seattle just got found guilty for $30 million.
That's the crazy thing, by the way. Then the city, like, they go lawless and set up a guerrilla zone, and then the city has to pay for it.
Yep.
Right?
Well, it's because the city let them. And the city supported it. Yeah. But anyways, like that idea of the government, showing the government has no authority or power. We're setting up things. Yeah, blocking the highway is more of a protest, Ben. I'm talking about like when they do checkpoints and they're doing armed interdictions. You're getting like you're kind of like up to this level here, where you're showing that look what we could do and nobody can stop us.
Yeah,
you're just under the surface. Now that said, though, this is a very hard glass ceiling to break through, where you eventually get quickly into minor guerrilla actions and then larger scale guerrilla actions. This is a tough ceiling, and thank God it's very tough. But in the meantime, there's all kinds of insanity that runs around underneath the surface. So,
and just because we've been talking about the guns, I just want to make this as clear as I can, because I feel like there's like, all of a sudden the left cares about the Second Amendment, right?
They don't.
No, they don't. But B, no one is saying you don't have a right to carry a gun, right? And no one is saying, or they shouldn't, and if anybody on the right is saying this in an inartful way, they should learn to say it better, because this is important. No one's saying you don't have a right to carry the gun. It's a constitutional right. The only thing people are saying is what any responsible gun owner knows is that when you are carrying, you must act with the responsibility of somebody who is carrying. Like if you get into a physical confrontation when you are carrying a gun, that can escalate into a lethal confrontation very easily. So
the cops knowing you just have a gun, period, is the cops have shot people just for being armed.
Yeah. And that's not because you don't have a Second Amendment right. That's because the cops need to treat a armed threat differently than a threat that's not an armed threat.
Well, they get scared when they see a gun, whether it's justified or not.
Yeah.
And there are people in Minnesota that were murdered. Philando Castile was a guy who was not reaching for his gun. The cops saw the gun and shot him. There's another guy that I covered when I first started the channel named Amir Locke. The police snuck in to serve a warrant on somebody, and Amir Locke was rightfully allowed to be there, had a legally owned gun. And they basically woke up in the middle of the night to like a light shining in his face. And he's like, what the fuck? And people are like, ah! And he grabbed a gun and they shot him. But all you do is you wake up in the middle of the night and that's on your face. What do you do?
You don't know what's happening.
The people who are, they want to try to break bread with the revolutionary communists. I mean, but I supported your rights.
Yeah. And that is ultimately the point, right? Like,
there's a meme for everything.
Okay. Alex Peretti had a right to carry a gun. He did, right? Also, if you are carrying a gun, you should not go around kicking the taillights off of cop cars. Now, look, you shouldn't do that anyway. But if you're carrying a gun, you super shouldn't do it.
Oh, yeah.
Because you are inviting a confrontation with law enforcement while carrying a gun, which increases risks. Like, this is
bad
not
things happen.
It's not a rights thing. It's a responsibility thing.
Yeah.
And I think that, like, often
it's like swimming in the water, like off South Africa. Well, there's sharks in the water. Okay, great. Like, well, I don't deserve to get bit. That doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah.
Like, okay, great. You shouldn't have died, but the shark still attacked you. Like, what do you want me to do about it? Like, I told you this is a bad idea and here's the risk. And you said, fuck it.
You had a right to swim there,
Yeah.
but the right isn't the issue. The issue is the responsibility in these instances, right?
It's very much, it's kind of like you read Starship Troopers?
How I read it?
Yeah.
I've seen it. I haven't read it.
It's an actual book.
Oh shit! I didn't even know that.
It's a book written by Robert Heinlein, one of the godfathers of science fiction.
Oh, I've read Heinlein. I didn't know he wrote that though.
Oh yeah, you should read it. It's like the only the only science fiction book that's on the reading list of all the military academies. It's simple. It's like you can read it like as an 8th grader and understand it. But he says in there, they're talking about, and this is in a post-future society with like men dropping out of spaceships. You know, the right to life. Well, what right to life does a man drowning in the Pacific Ocean have? It's like, okay, great. Yeah, I have a right to live. Okay, so what? Like, sometimes it doesn't work. Like, you know, I have a right not to be eaten by sharks. Okay, yes, I agree, but the shark's going to eat you still. I have the right not to get murdered by the police. Okay, but you carried a gun and fucked around with the cops. Like, what did you want to have happen here?
Yeah, and this is the thing that we don't talk about enough, which is like, there's all these rights, and as a lawyer, I will protect your rights, and you can hire me to do it, right? But like in a functioning society, rights have corresponding duties and responsibilities.
Well, I'd say
like
also risk.
Yeah, and risks, right? Like if you bear arms, there are risks that are attendant to that, and you are responsible for managing those risks. You might have a right to free speech, but you should, understand what you're saying and be cognizant of it, and just be responsible for that. Like it's not, you can't have a society that's all rights and no duties and responsibilities. Like it just doesn't work, because otherwise you end up in that crazy situation you were just describing, where someone's drowning in a lake saying, I have a right to life. This water should stop drowning me.
Yes.
And you're like, no, I don't think the lake's listening.
And more importantly, though, it's the idea that the risks are out there and you have to accept them. Like, I've been part of armed protests before, and I've understood the risk of like, yeah, shit could go sideways at the drop of a hat. Like, and I accept that. But also as part of that group, we also had people who are like, they're not armed and they're going to be the person who interacts with the cops. If something kicks off, I'm not jumping in the middle of it with a gun. Like, it's like.
No, I mean, you see this with, like, this is like responsible protesting. Like, I mean, I for the record, I think the face.
No, I mean, like, if you think this is the part, like, if you're carrying a gun and you think it's time to kick it off.
That's different.
Like, if you think this is the time to stop the evil Gestapo Nazis from, stopping the Heckin' protester lady, then I guess kick it off, man. But like,
but also don't do that. Like, Jesus.
Well, I'm just gonna say, like, well, it's
you're gonna get killed.
It's as I was told by a very wise man. If you walk outside on your front porch and your neighbors aren't standing outside with guns, it's not time to go walk outside your front porch with a gun. So,
yeah, I mean, you literally. Like the whole thing about law enforcement detaining people is that it's never fair. When they detain with like a 10-1 advantage. Often, they like, if you like, God forbid you start shooting, like it's just.
It's going to be over. But I'm just saying in general, the cops. Well, what happens if I carry a gun and the cops arrest me? They'll find the gun and start panicking and acting like retards. Well, then what should I do to avoid that outcome?
Yeah, don't kick their taillights. And if they're arresting you,
or if you're going to kick their taillights, don't carry a gun while you're doing it.
Yeah. And if they arrest you while you're carrying one, be very clear that you are submitting to arrest and tell them. Be like,
and even then, that might not be enough to stop them.
I have licensed concealed carry. It's on my hip. You can take it. Like
even then, they still might shoot you.
be really. I mean, the problem is, and this is like, I think this is actually a conversation people should have. Because I've talked to a bunch of law enforcement guys since the stuff in Minnesota, and one of the things that they've said is there's kind of a split in the law enforcement community about pepper spray, because if you use it, it does make people compliant, but it tends to get in your eyes too.
Oh, it gets everywhere,
right? So now the cops can't see, and then the problem is people who are pepper sprayed don't like kneel in the dirt nicely for arrest.
No,
they
they like
freaking
zombies.
out.
They're flailing around.
So that they tend to, like, at best catch a beating afterwards. So the question is, like, is pepper spray actually useful in those scenarios, right? It seems like it's actually causing, like, it's clearly within, it's lawful to use it, but like as a practical thing,
Oh yeah,
is it actually like a useful thing to do? And the answer is, it seems like it seems like not. Maybe we just need like law enforcement to be like all purple belts in jujitsu or some shit.
Yes. Okay, Robin Hood, you're being all like, it's OC. Okay, yes, and the taser's actually the X26. It's pepper spray.
All right.
Like, yes, it's like, yes. Actually, it's not an AR-15. That's actually that one's made by Rock River or Colt. No, it's an AR-15.
I mean, we spent 2.5 hours trying to deal with lawyers saying that applying and seeking were somehow different. We're maxed out on our pendantry right now.
Yes.
Like we've gone as far as we can go.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, at some point, like, there's, it's just how this works here. But yeah, but like I said, Ryan, that little pyramid's a good one to read, because you're like, oh wow, I can see a lot of stuff there.
Yeah,
Robin, they might say pepper spray to make things explain it to laymen.
Yeah,
I use terms that aren't legal to explain things to you guys.
Or even more likely, I use the term because I'm not a cop, and I heard the story, and then I use the term. Like, it's, let's relax. Let's relax.
Yes. No cop would say pepper spray. Okay, if I walk up to a cop and say, hey, man, when's the last time you used pepper spray? He goes, well, actually, it's not pepper spray, sir. It's OC. No, he's going to say, yeah, I've used it lately. I used it 20 minutes ago on some hobo. He's not going to correct me.
He's going to say, I'm going to use it on you if you keep correcting my language.
Yes. Yes.
All right, Matt.
Right.
I got to start wrapping this up so I can get some sleep before tomorrow. Hey, this has been awesome. I always love collaborating with you. And I appreciate the hype train and the free bird. Come on. Yeah. How sick is that? If you have not already subbed to my channel, what the fuck are you doing? Just sub to the channel, right? Just
we're getting, before it's like, well, guys, if you'd like to, you could. It's like, no, we're just straight up.
No, it's late. Now it's just pure abuse. That's the stick. The carrot is I'm 90% sure, we got to work out the schedules, but I'm 90% sure that tomorrow night I'm going to be sitting down to have a chat with Andrew Wilson about law and philosophy. So if you want to see that, you should go to my channel so you can see the conversation. So go join, subscribe so you get notified.
1.17K chat. There we go.
Yeah. I mean, I think we were at like 1.4 before this stream. So you guys definitely have been showing up. I'm not throwing shade, but there's cool stuff on my channel. You'll enjoy it. You should check it out.
Yeah, guys. And look, he's done it all. He's, had a discussion with Benjamin Boyce. He lands the good gets. He's going to have Andrew Wilson on tomorrow. It's like, I can't even get Andrew Wilson.
If anything, you should just sub to go see me whoop Pisco's ass in debate after debate after debate, and then get a membership so you can get the piss cry emote, which is the greatest emote I've ever seen. We have some other good emotes, but that one's really funny.
He's gone at it with Destiny. I mean, he's done it all, chat.
Well, I appreciate the plug, Sean. I really do. And it is always fun. Oh, the cooking streams. Sorry. So that was the funniest debate of all time. That was on Wick Show. I was debating. I can't.
Oh, it's 2 hours. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, don't watch it. Even describing this debate is going to make me insane. The people we were debating took the position that effective altruism dictates that if you have spare money, you should donate it to a charity that reduces the suffering that shrimp experience when they are killed for food. It doesn't stop them. It just reduces the suffering they feel, and so they're killed more humanely. And my counterpoint was, you should use that money to buy Wick soda or pizza, because like just use it for anything, like sub. Like there's nothing more useless than making a shrimp feel better. Like I can't, like this is unbelievably stupid. What the fuck are we talking about? And credit to Zero Fucks for the fiery shrimp cooking thumbnail for that one.
Yes. There we go. And yeah, I just need to show Ryan the Governor Cox clip. Oh yeah, we got that one too. Yeah. You know, you gotta develop a clip library here. So you got like
You are gay, LMAO.
Sadly, we had to lose Charlie Kirk to get that one, but
I mean that
yeah,
obviously not a good trade, but like
no,
that's a heck of a clip. That's a good one.
Yes, and that's kind of it, guys. But yeah, thanks for being here, Ryan. I appreciate it, man. We're gonna have to do some more coming up here.
Yeah, for sure, man. Always a pleasure, man. And I would always delighted to collab with you. And I know that we've been trying to cook up some stuff behind the scenes. I'm sure we'll figure out a way to get that done.
All right, guys, take care, guys. Ryan, did you want me to disconnect these? Or are you gonna want to read some of your super chats or stuff? I don't. If I remove it here, you could still go, right?
I have no idea. I've never managed to make that work. So how about this?
Okay.
I think I read all the super chats, and I really want to go to sleep.
Okay,
so
there we go.
If you did not have your super chat or your membership read, because I'm a big jerk who wants to go, mods know, and I will absolutely make it up to you, but I want to go to bed, so I'm going to end stream.
All right. Well, good night, Ryan. Take care, and I'll end it for you here.
Always a pleasure, Sean. Have a good night.
All right, see ya. All right, guys, that's Ryan, guys. We had a fun tonight. Fun tonight. So, all right, let's go here. So Anonymous says, this stream was promised to me like 3,000 years ago. Why do you make me wait longer? Because I want you to suffer. Shredder says, before I forget, Ryan is a badass and Sean uses nonsense pronouns. Thanks. BobTube says, welcome, Ryan Scooper Mullally. I don't think he's been designated a scooper yet. I don't think he loves sand. BobTube says, please take Ryan's scroll wheel off of him. Machina is saying for $5, what if these immigration lawyers were held responsible, their clients jump bail? Will that speed things up? I mean, at what point are they liable for them? Like, you mean like if they're out on bond, like I'm responsible for my client not showing up to court? Like, what am I supposed to do? I mean, I personally don't like that as an attorney, but I don't know how I could effectuate that otherwise. Like, do I now have to go hunt them down and drag them to court? Like, you know, because if I'm doing that, I need legal protections for that. If you want me to, you're going to force me to do that. Letty for $9.99. Thank you. Saying liberal cluck debated Rob and his former charity is rounding up on his Chipotle order. Oh, Rob debated him and he said like, oh, I donate. Well, that's also a shitty way to donate because all you're doing is helping that company look more important because they could say we donated like $1 million. And no, they guilted a bunch of consumers into giving them that money. So no, never let corporations cash in on your generosity. Chuggy Show for $5 says, Sean is the president and founding member of Foamers Against Grays. Yes, the FAG. Been there, done that, says play the You Are Gay clip for Ryan. Well, we did. Took a little while. And then we got through all these gifted subs. Once again, you guys, that was so much fun. Ryan knows Freebird now. How long till Ryan's introduced to sector lore? Asked Jefferson. For his sake, I hope not. I mean, you know, I don't want that. I would not want that for him. I don't want that for him. Ryan's too good of a man for that. Debbie O for $5. Thank you, Debbie. It's saying, according to Josh Hawley, Senator Hawley, the U.S. government loses $115 million per hour to fraud your tax dollars at work. I mean, I thought it'd be more, but that's still quite a bit. That's still quite a bit. Little Jenja that could says for the Ninja Protection Fund. You know, guys, last night those ninjas snuck into the house and attacked me and attacked Clyde and knocked us out. I am very sorry about that. It happens. EDW Raptor for $2 says, I object to Sean's authority over chat. Well, noted. You've been overruled. And then Stephen Cooper is a new member. Thank you, Stephen, for redoing that. I appreciate it. David says, I'm back now. Can you start over? Yeah. David's going to take his victory lap. Can we get Robert Gouveia to be Clavicular's lawyer? Rob would actually be very good. Rob is a very good attorney. But that would be hilarious. That would be hilarious. Rob would do a very good job. Yeah, also the corporation gets it as a tax write-off as well. So you want Ryan to learn to Stonies? I don't want to do that to him. I don't want to do that to him. Oh, you guys are saying there's no audio? Yeah, every once in a while the streams shit out like that. 10 dead and 25 injured after a mass shooting in Canada. Those don't happen up there. Impossible. By Ninja, Sean means 17 McRibs from McDonald's. Actually, no. No. Today was the Lawyer Can anniversary. No, it's not. Yesterday was. And because the judge who had it posted about it. So, no. It was not this. It was not today. It was yesterday. So, booyah. And then Fedor me Fitus for $10 says, after we convert all humans to veganism, we can convert carnivorous animals. My friend could try to convert a tiger. For my friend's funeral, we buried the tiger's turds. Oh, that's funny. Joe Schmo says that Mark Randazzo is a good attorney, but he couldn't beat Monty in court. Let there be less for you. That doesn't mean anything. If you guys read the opinion, Nick almost won that. And the only reason why they didn't win is because the Colorado courts were such a mess that they didn't actually have any opinion from their Supreme Court or prevailing opinion or prevailing thought. Otherwise, they actually would have won. That's just a time where the facts don't work. The facts and the law don't work out for you. There's only so much you can do. Mark Randazzo is a good enough attorney. But if you gave Michelangelo a pile of marble, he'll sculpt you a statue. You can't give him a pile of dog turds and tell him to make a statue. It doesn't work. So. Let's see here. J-Rock, what is... The McRib is the deadbeat dad of sandwiches? Yeah, I know. There's nothing I'm not a big... Do I have some sugar in my tank? No. Do I garden uphill? No. Oh. Oh, all right, chat. Well, I think we're all caught up here. It's 11:56. So it's time to end for tonight. Are we going to have that Bonbon emoji ready for her next visit? Yes. Yes, and actually Bonbon's coming back this weekend, so. And Joe Schmo, yes, it was uphill all the way, and he almost got it. So, actually was, I know a win is a win and a loss is a loss, but they almost won. So, Angela got attacked by ninjas too. Yeah, she was sleeping. Yes. When's the next tractor pull stream, Rusty? When tractor pulls start happening again. If you guys didn't know, during the when it gets nicer out, we do the model streams. We'll watch if there's riots, we'll watch riots, but we'll watch if there's drag racing on a Friday or Saturday night, or if there's tractor pulls. I love watching tractor pull. Tractor pulls are great to go to in person, but yeah. Does Bonbon's family know she is famous? Yes. Yes, Bonbon's owners are aware. Bonbon's parents travel a lot. Yes, they do. They do quite a bit. So, but yeah, we won't have a tractor pull stream probably till it gets nicer out. So that's where we are. So, and trailer drag races are neat. Yeah, all that stuff's fun, but we'll get back to it. We'll get back to it when it gets nice out, chat. But in the meantime, guys, we are going to leave this alone. We're going to come back tomorrow to start going through the detransitioning malpractice case and the court's rulings. It's very interesting what the court finds and what gets happening from there. So we'll take care of that. And just remember till next time, chat. Just because you did it does not mean you're guilty. And remember tonight, this is a message. Don't doom. Long live the Republic, and God bless America. So, good night, chat, and take care. If it plays, and it won't play because of clicking it. There we go. Good night, chat.
Weapons, blacksmithing, and models of planes, esoteric works, and even some trains. Much merriment had while drinking White Claws, tips on hunting, and even talking the law. Whatever you do, just don't talk to cops, even when they nab you on illegal stops. Just 'cause you did it doesn't mean you're guilty, but please talk to a local attorney. Was that the fat guy?